The noble Nessian clan, the icy snow leopards. After more than half a century, they finally had an heir possessing the full power of the snow leopard clan. The eldest daughter, Lena Nessian. But unfortunately, she fell in love with a man born into the clan's sworn enemy, Cassius Asterion. Faced with the clan's opposition, she chose love, leading to a tragedy when she gave birth to her first child. Even though her father was furious, he couldn't just leave things as they were. He had to clean up the mess his daughter made. He held the baby in his arms, extremely annoyed, just when he thought his granddaughter would have perfect powers like her mother. Sadly, the little girl had absolutely no abilities because she was a half-blood. Just like that, 7 years flew by like the wind. That kid is already 7. Chandler quietly looked out the window. Normally, abilities should have awakened at 1 year old, but until now, there hasn't been a single sign. This had never happened before. With time passing so quickly, Chandler lost all his expectations. He threw Tiel into the storage room. What a useless piece of trash. The little girl still didn't understand anything, staring blankly as the door slammed shut. Meanwhile, Chandler gradually lost patience with everything. That was exactly what Chandler Nessian, the head of the clan, told her. The granddaughter, the disgrace of the family, was locked in the basement. But even so, Chandler's insult and the Nessian clan's indifference continued. It would be very hard for a child to survive in this situation. However, Tiel, with her tiny body, tried to fight against the harshness. She was one of the rare survivors. Suddenly, one day, Chandler had an unpredictable fit of rage. He raised the stale bread in his hand and yelled, "You dare steal the bread I was going to throw away, you little brat." Being scolded by her grandfather like that, Tiel was terrified and plopped down on the floor. She looked at his furious face, trembling as she apologized. "I'm sorry, I was just so hungry, so..." Even after hearing her apology, Chandler still didn't let the little girl off the hook. He grabbed her by the collar and scolded, "You dare talk back to me." Chandler dragged the little girl outside, ignoring her cries. "Grandpa." He walked to a door and pushed it open, still carrying Tiel. Walking briskly, Chandler took the kid out to the balcony. The snow was still falling, freezing cold. "I've let you live too comfortably, huh? That's why you have the guts to talk back to me like this." Then, ignoring Tiel, who was wearing thin clothes, he violently threw her out onto the balcony. "You should be ashamed of yourself." He forcefully and decisively slammed the door shut. Tiel saw that her grandfather was truly furious. She ran closer in the biting cold. She screamed, "Grandpa!" She kept banging on the door, calling for him. "Please let me in." "I'm sorry, Grandpa." Tiel desperately called out one last time. "Please." The door slightly opened. But the person who stepped in was Cornelia Nessian. She closed the door and curiously asked Tiel, "You're out here, kid. Tisk, can you just stop it?" Cornelia Nessian, the current heir of the Nessian clan, seeing her Tiel, looked at her pleadingly, calling out, "Auntie." But suddenly she angrily yelled at Tiel, "Who's your auntie? How dare you?" Tiel, bewildered and teary-eyed, looked at her. Cornelia ignored the little girl and walked away. "I heard you're going for a fitting with Logan today, right? She must have been waiting for ages. That half-blood kid is wasting too much of my time." Hearing that, Chandler closed his eyes exhaustedly. "That's enough. We'll leave a little early for Logan." Suddenly, there was a noise at the outer door. A little girl completely opposite to Tiel walked in. "Grandpa." Seeing that little girl, Chandler's expression immediately changed to a joyful one. He approached the little girl. "Logan." I was just about to head out. Logan didn't hesitate and happily came closer. At this moment, Logan clasped her hands together, making a cute leopard face, and replied to him, "Instead of waiting for you, I came to pick you up so we can go together." This little girl is named Logan Nessian, Cornelia's daughter, Tiel's younger cousin. Chandler picked her up, rubbing his cheek against hers joyfully. "All right, let's go." Logan matched the vibe and replied, "I'm so excited." Then Tiel saw this scene and froze on the spot. Tiel saw her getting ready to leave. The little girl hesitated and called out to her, Ms. Cornelia." Tiel, outside in the freezing cold, shivering uncontrollably, begged her, Please let me in. It's so cold out here." Seeing that, Cornelia smirked. Watching a snow leopard feel the cold looks pretty amusing. Then she glared at Tiel with cold, mocking eyes. "Oh my. Because you have half Black Panther blood, right? How dare you be so disrespectful, just like your mother." After saying that, she immediately shut the door, ignoring the screams from behind. "Miss Cornelia." Tiel stood outside the freezing door, helplessly sinking to her knees, her face down. She lay down on the balcony, her feet red from the cold, thinking to herself, "It's so cold." In the snow leopard clan, no one loved her. She recalled every word from the members of her family. Chandler. What a useless piece of trash. Born at the cost of Lena's death. Cornelia. Not an ounce of power since the day you were born. Logan. Someone like you will never be loved. Tiel, feeling miserable, thought to herself, if Mom were still here, would things be better? I wonder where I truly belong. Is there really no place for me? The little girl looked at the silhouettes of those two and told herself, the laughter that I hear. Tiel lay on the freezing ground. She gradually fell asleep, muttering in her mind, the warmth of a family, the comfort I want to experience. I just want to feel it even just once. Suddenly, the sound of breaking glass echoed, startling Tiel awake. Then Tiel looked around the room, wondering about everything. Just a moment ago I was... The little girl looked around curiously, thinking, this is the attic. I should be on the balcony. Tiel groaned, snapping out of her thoughts. It hurts. She looked at her injured hand. I'm in pain. So this isn't a dream. The little girl quickly picked up a mirror to look at her face. She looked at herself in the mirror and thought, this is my head. This is when I was pushed down the stairs by Logan. It feels like everything just happened yesterday, but this happened a month ago. Tiel said in disbelief. Did I travel back in time? How is that possible? Suddenly, a golden light appeared on her hand. She looked at her hand, but then suddenly it was gone. She doubtfully looked at her hand and said, am I seeing things? Something just glowed on my hand. But she quickly brushed the thought aside. No, now is not the time to panic. If I really have gone back in time, she thought seriously, I have to find a way to escape from here. If I stay here, I'll be in danger. Suddenly, she paused her train of thought. But even if I leave, I have nowhere to go. If I go outside, I'll freeze to death. Tiel looked into the mirror. If only there was someone who could help me. Seeming to realize something, she blurted out, golden eyes. She remembered her father's clan, the Asterion Black Panther clan with golden eyes. Tiel's eyes lit up. My father's clan? Maybe they'll let me come over. A while later, a draft blew in. However, Tiel looked over in surprise. What's that sound? It's so noisy outside. She stood up and curiously walked outside. Voices continued to ring out. Take it to the guest room, and this area is needed for the party. Tiel, hearing this, suddenly realized something and gasped. I remember now, this is that time. This is when Logan became the princess's guest of honor. A little objective background. Every girl around the prince's age is a guest of the princess. That's why the royal family sent a letter directly to the clan to invite Logan as a guest, and the Nessian clan was busy preparing to welcome the guest. Tiel clutched her chest, thinking the timing is perfect. Everyone is busy, focusing on Logan to help her get closer to the prince. Grandpa and the maids too. While the guests are arriving, I will escape from this place. She crawled over to a plate with bread. She grabbed the bread, chuckling to herself. So lucky. I still have some leftover bread. I can hide it under my clothes and take it with me. But suddenly, a mouse approached, trying to snatch the little girl's food. Yes, Tiel, realizing this at the same time, screamed, no! Then she angrily grabbed the bread and said, I really need this, go away. But suddenly Tiel unexpectedly floated into the air. A white light appeared. Tiel suddenly transformed into a small snow leopard cub, leaving even the mouse dumbfounded. Despite that, the little girl was still barely conscious, muttering faintly, so cold. Then she quickly burrowed into the blanket. Tiel curled up in a corner, her eyes dazed. I can hide here until the guests arrive. I need to save my energy. She sadly thought of her father. But if what Grandpa said is true, what if Dad hates me? She recalled her grandfather's harsh words. If the head of the Black Panther clan sees you, you'll definitely lose your head. That clan hates you that much. At this moment, deep down, Tiel could only let her grandfather's criticism sink in. If that's true, maybe it's because Mom died giving birth to me. And now I, the one who was born, have to endure all the blame. An outcast. The more Tiel thought about it, the more utterly heartbroken she felt. But other than Asterion, there is nowhere else for me. Tiel curled up, covering her eyes. If I promised to stay quiet, would they accept me? She lay under the blankets, spiraling into negative thoughts. I will eat very little and live very quietly. I can survive on just a piece of bread for 2 days straight. 2 days later, someone opened the wooden door. Then Tiel stepped out, her hair a messy bird's nest. She looked around in all directions. Good, it seems everyone has gone to sleep. Then the little girl quietly walked down the hallway. As she walked, she told herself, since everyone was busy welcoming the royal guests all day, they won't wake up this early. First, I need to go to Grandpa's study to get some necessities. I'll use them to pay the driver to take me to the Asterion clan. She went to her grandfather's door and reached out to open it. Her eyes carefully scanned the area before she quickly slipped inside. Just as I thought, it's unlocked. Since Logan comes in constantly, he doesn't lock his door. Tiel went to the drawer and opened it. Inside was a necklace of some sort. The little girl held a blue pouch in her hand, thrilled to find gold coins. Is this enough to pay for the carriage? But suddenly, something caught her eye. The little girl looked at the necklace in front of her in surprise. This is... Out of curiosity, the little girl picked it up. Opening it, there was a picture of a beautiful woman inside the pendant. The little girl gasped, Mom! Mom's face on the pendant that Grandpa always hides. Tia looked at the pendant in her hand, her face flushing at a loss for words. But the little girl quickly regained her composure and pocketed the necklace. I'll take this too. Since I'm never coming back here, I don't want to forget Mom's face. This morning, Tiel got up and walked softly, looking around vigilantly. Thank goodness. It seems no one is awake yet. If I head out now... Suddenly a voice rang out, making Tiel jump. Lady Logan! It was Logan's nanny Zara. Holding a lantern, she groggily stepped out. My lady, you shouldn't be wandering around at this hour. Zara opened her eyes wider and suddenly froze on the spot. Realizing she was caught, Tiel panicked and shrieked. Zara looked at the little girl speechless. Zara snapped out of it and angrily yelled at Tiel. How dare you come out here? Get back to your room right now. Terrified and out of options, Tiel just made a run for it. This is bad. Behind her, Zara kept yelling, get back here. She's tiny but crazy fast. Right now, Tiel was absolutely terrified. Panting heavily as she ran, she frantically thought, where should I go? It looks like everyone has discovered me. Suddenly, someone running behind her shouted, "Over there, catch her." Tiel panicked as she was surrounded on all sides. She scrambled around frantically. She kept running as fast as she could at all costs. The two guards panted helplessly, watching Tiel slip right through their fingers. What the? But by then, Tiel's silhouette had gradually disappeared. That's the guest quarters. If we cause a scene, it'll be a massive deal. The two guys, now scared, stopped chasing Tiel. First, let's just report this to the clan head. Yeah, in the pitch black night, Tiel kept taking quick strides forward. She ran until she was completely out of breath. Pant, pant. What should I do? It seems like I'm about to get caught. I need to hide fast. Tiel looked around at the unfamiliar surroundings. Since this is my first time here, I have no idea where I am. Terrified, she tried knocking on a door, panicking inwardly. All the doors are locked. What do I do? I'm so scared. Suddenly, someone slowly walked up behind Tiel. Tiel noticed it, a silhouette much larger than her standing right behind her. She was terrified. Is anyone there? Please. Suddenly a hand touched her. A blonde boy appeared in front of Tiel. Tiel was so scared she plopped down onto the floor. The blonde boy ignored her fear and just focused on asking Tiel, "Who are you? How dare you bother me at this hour?" Tiel was too terrified to speak. The boy Landros responded in confusion, Seeing he didn't seem to understand, Tiel teared up and stammered, Please, help me." Landros stood up, puzzled, thinking, "What's this? Who is this kid?" There's supposed to be only one girl in the Nessian clan. He looked at Tiel, who was holding back tears, and continued analyzing. A petite build and golden eyes instead of blue, which means this kid isn't Logan Nessian. After his deduction, Landros asked, curiously, framed against the pitch black night outside the window, "Stop crying and answer me right now. Who are you? If not, I'll throw you out of here instantly." Tiel swallowed hard, hesitating for a moment. Then she replied in an adorably sweet voice, "I'm a snow leopard, Tiel Nessian. I need to escape from here." Suddenly, there was a noise outside. Landros turned to look and said, "Did someone come in here?" Tiel looked frightened, startled, and yelped, "Ah!" Landros looked toward the door, deducing, was she chased all the way here? After a moment of weighing his options, Landros laid out a rule. "From now on, just follow my lead. You know how to shift into your animal form, right?" The scene shifts to a luxurious bed. The boy Landros pointed under the bed and told Tiel, "Hide under the bed." Prompted by the boy, Tiel obediently scurried in. "Hurry, hide down there." But somehow, Tiel hid her head, but left her tail sticking out. Landros knelt helplessly and pushed the tail in. So soft. Suddenly, a man appeared wearing night clothes. His name is Cedric Iovino. He bowed respectfully. "Apologies for the intrusion, your highness." Cedric Iovino, the Emperor's aide. Landros saw him appear and immediately acted as if nothing had happened, asking back, "What brings you here at this hour, Cedric?" Tiel, sitting under the bed, listened to the conversation outside. "A maid from the main estate has escaped." "A maid?" Cedric bowed deeply and respectfully answered Landros. "Yes, she isn't a head maid, but we were keeping an eye on her. Even so, she managed to slip away. Someone reported seeing her run towards here." Hearing this, Landros thought to himself, "That kid has white hair characteristic of a snow leopard, and yet they claim she's a maid." He sighed, "I haven't seen anyone here." Landros sat down on the bed and continued nonchalantly, "If they really want to search, let them come and check. But everywhere except my room, Cedric." Hearing that he had no other choice, so he bowed and prepared to leave. "I will report this back to them. Please get some rest, your highness." After Cedric left, Landros frowned in deep thought. "I was supposed to hide my identity, yet I've fallen into this situation. It's all because His Majesty forced me to find a fiancé at the banquet." Outside, Cedric ordered the other two to split up and search. Suddenly, Landros remembered Tiel. He bent down near the bed and called the little girl. "Looks like they're gone. You can come out now." After she crawled out, Landros immediately asked Tiel, "Why do you have to run away? And why are they calling you a maid?" But the cute Tiel just looked at the person in front of her without saying anything. She secretly deduced, "This person is young, but seems to hold a high position. Could it be that someone genuinely wants to help me? No matter, anyone would do the same." A little later in her room, Tiel tightly clutched the pouch in her hand. "I've been locked up since birth," she said. "Grandpa thinks I'm a jinx on the clan. I was born with absolutely no powers. On top of that, my presence is nothing special." "Yes." Landros listened to her ironic situation, pondered for a moment, and said, "You took advantage of the chaos at the main estate to escape." "Right," Tiel replied. "Yes." Landros asked the little girl, "So what do you plan to do after escaping from here?" Tiel answered him with determination. "I have some money. I'll take a carriage to the Asterion clan." Landros was a bit confused and asked her again, "Asterion? Why are you going there?" "You're a snow leopard." Tiel understood what he meant and explained, "Oh, because my dad isn't a snow leopard." Landros suddenly paused as if he realized something. He looked at Tiel, who was staring at him in confusion. "Now I get it. Amber eyes. Why didn't I realize it sooner?" Landros figured out the situation. He patted her head and said to the little girl, "I know what you're trying to do, but with that tiny amount of money, you couldn't even make it out of the Nessian territory." Tiel panicked and covered her mouth in shock. Devastated, she dropped to her knees. "I thought this would be enough. Ugh, what do I do? I don't have any more money than this. Landros saw how utterly crushed she was. With a tone as gentle and warm as the morning sky, he told her, I will take you to Asterion. Hearing what he said, Tiel jumped up with joy. Really? Do you mean it? Landros replied. Yeah. The little girl was overjoyed, her cheeks flushed, as she thanked him profusely. Thank you so much. I promise to repay this favor. Hearing her say that, Landros just sighed and said, don't worry about it. Even though he brushed off the favor, the little girl insisted. Even so, you're still my lifesaver. Suddenly, Tiel hesitated and asked the boy, but how will I contact you? Could you tell me your name? Landros told the little girl his name. Landros Grayson, just call me Ian. After learning his name, she couldn't stop repeating it in her head. Ian. Landros suddenly waved his hand and turned away. Now get some rest. If you can't wake up tomorrow, I'm not taking you with me. Hearing this, she panicked. But what if someone comes in while I'm sleeping? Seeing her anxiousness, Landros reassured her. No one will come into this room. Are you scared? Suddenly, he opened his hand. A glowing orb appeared. Tiel gasped in amazement, thinking, whoa, what is that? A white circle. Landros explained, this is my ability. It opens a space that only I can access. Landros held his hand toward the circular portal and told the little girl to turn into a snow leopard and go inside. Hearing that, the kid nervously replied, yes. He explained it to her further. Don't worry. I can open and close at any time and as long as I'm alive. You'll be safe. Tiel nervously walked up to the dimensional portal, hesitating, terrified. The little girl clenched her fists as she walked, thinking, I don't have any other choice anyway. This is still way better than getting caught by the people at the mansion. Landros saw her hesitating too much. Losing patience, he just picked up her little leopard form and tossed her in. When it's safe, I'll bring you right out. Tiel hopped onto the ground, looking around curiously. She quietly observed the chaotic scene in front of her, finding it a bit hard to believe that this was the space inside. It looks so wrecked. Suddenly, she stepped on a teddy bear's leg, which startled her and scared her half to death. It moved when I touched it. Tiel carefully took every step. I have to be careful. I can't let this place get more ruined because of me. Suddenly, she spotted a pink pillow nearby. Tiel stared warily at the pillow. That pillow sparkles like it's brand new. Is it safe to touch? She approached and poked it gently. Seeing no reaction, Tiel happily looked at the pillow, her eyes shining. It didn't move. Plus, it's so soft. Then Tiel quickly climbed onto the soft pillow. She happily sprawled out on it, giggling to herself. So comfy. I hope Dad is as warm and kind as this. In the reception room, Chandler spoke politely. I sincerely apologize for the incident last night. Were you uncomfortable staying here? Is this place not suitable for you? Cedric replied with sheer politeness. Thank you for your hospitality. I was very comfortable. The dinner was truly excellent. Chandler frowned, annoyed, thinking of Tiel. He didn't mention Logan at all. Not even just to be polite. Nothing. Everything got messed up because of that little brat. Why is she suddenly as quiet as a mouse now? He suddenly suggested, well then, before you leave, would you like to meet with Logan? The girl, Cedric set his teacup down. No, thank you. After that, Cedric suddenly stood up, startling Chandler. Since it's a long journey, I must be going. He respectfully continued, until we meet again. If you ever come to the capital, I will welcome you. Hearing this, Chandler immediately stood up. Well then, suddenly Logan burst in from outside with a beaming face. Grandpa, seeing her, he panicked and signaled, Logan, wait. Don't come here. But Logan didn't understand. She answered innocently, the guest hasn't left yet. Logan clasped her hands together, eyes sparkling. So did they see any potential in Logan? Cedric stood there, and upon seeing her, bowed politely to greet her. Lady Logan, it's a pleasure to meet you. May all blessings be yours. Chandler saw this and gritted his teeth in anger. This clearly means they plan to reject her. There's no sign they'll keep her as a guest. But contrary to his panic, Logan casually asked the man in front of her, so when can we meet again? When will you visit this mansion again? Chandler, looking pale and helpless in the back, called out, Logan, stop it! She kept whining and acting cute, completely oblivious to the mysterious figure standing behind her. Grandpa, I want to visit the capital too. Can I go there as a guest? It turned out to be Landros. Hearing her, he looked a bit annoyed. Seeing that, Cedric paid no attention to him, pushed up his glasses and said, it's time for me to go. The little girl helplessly begged, take Logan with you. Chandler, watching his VIP guest just up and leave, trembled with rage. Meanwhile, Logan didn't understand what was going on and turned to call her grandpa. He mentally blamed everything. It's all because of that half-blood that a whole month of prep was wasted. If I catch that brat, I won't let her off easy. The scene shifts outside. Chandler sees the guest off. Before getting ready to leave, Cedric shared a few parting words. May blessings come to the Nessian clan. He stood outside, looking like he had more to say, and stammered, yes, blessings. Seeing this, Landros violently slammed the carriage door, sending a gust of wind blowing right past him. Chandler stood dumbfounded in the back, muttering to himself, what a rude servant. Inside the carriage, Landros took off his hat. Tisk. Why was he talking so much? Cedric saw this and immediately said, regardless, you shouldn't speak like that. That is the head of the Nessian clan. But Landros ignored him, letting out an annoyed sigh. That's exactly why I hate the idea of marrying those kids. Outside, the carriage was moving. Cedric said worriedly, Your Highness, Landros replied in annoyance. I know. The reason Landros had come here was because it's crucial to find a life partner and form a mark as soon as possible. Your magical power is simply too massive to be contained within a small body. To prevent a tragedy in the future, this magic must be shared with a partner. And the royal family took on this responsibility, decided by the princess, to observe every potential candidate. Back to the present, Landros rested his chin on his hand, looking bored. Seeing this, Cedric raised his voice. Anyway, the head of the Nessian clan seemed to be struggling with something. I wonder what was actually going on. Hearing this, Landros suddenly remembered. Cedric looked confused. Ah, right. Then he opened his dimensional portal and carried out a half-asleep Tiel. Seeing this, Cedric's eyes widened in sheer shock. He took his glasses off, wiped his eyes, and stared closely. Landros patted Tiel's head gently and attentively. How are you holding up? You're not scared, right? Are you still sleeping? Meanwhile, Cedric put his glasses back on, muttering to himself. Am I dreaming? Landros seriously stated, we are going to the Asterion clan. Cedric was bewildered, sweating slightly, and a bit hesitant. Asterion, but we have no business there. Looking at him, he replied, we need to take this kid there. Get going. Tell them. Hearing this, Tiel in her leopard form looked determined. A blinding flash of light appeared. Tiel transformed back into human form and introduced herself. My name is Tiel Nessian. I'm going to Asterion to meet my dad. Cedric was baffled. Dad? Seeing his reaction, Landros told him, Cedric, look at the kid's eyes. Hearing that, Cedric paid attention to Tiel's eyes. He pondered, the amber eyes characteristic of black panthers. But on a snow leopard, suddenly Cedric flinched, realizing something. Could it be both men gradually recalled that story? Lena Nessian and Cassius Asterion, setting aside the feud between the two clans. The two of them built a family together and had twins as a testament to their love. However, during the birth of her third child, Lena disappeared. Not long after the Nessian clan announced her death, the Asterions held a funeral for Lena without her body. Consequently, the fate of the third child remained a mystery. Cedric suddenly snapped out of his flashback. Your Highness, could it be the child everyone thought was dead? Landros saw that he understood the situation. He coldly suggested, let's go as fast as we can. There's a place we need to stop at. 3 days later, at the Asterion estate, a voice rang out, Greetings, Crown Prince Landros, the butler of the Asterion clan. Barden bowed respectfully. May blessings be upon you. Landros ignored those formalities and said hurriedly, Barden, I want to see the head of the Asterion clan. But surprisingly, Barden replied, he is currently away. Is there a problem? Landros immediately replied, yes, I need to see him right now. Cedric opened the door and reached out his hand. Another hand rested on his. Cedric said gently, come step down. Tiel quietly and slowly stepped down, looking magical. Seeing this, Barden's eyes widened in shock as he gasped, no way! The boy smiled when he saw Tiel appear. He introduced Tiel, who was wearing a cute, sparkly outfit. Tell him, I believe we have found the youngest daughter of the Asterion clan. Inside the mansion, Tiel was guided in. She couldn't stop marveling. It's so grand. It feels twice as big as the Nessian estate. As she walked, Tiel felt a bit scared, thinking, living in a place like this, Dad must be a really scary person. Should I even meet him? By this time, Cedric and Landros had also changed into fresh clothes. The two of them reassured Tiel. They will definitely welcome you to Asterion. True. This is your first meeting, but we couldn't have prepared you any better than this. Today, Tiel nervously clutched her dress, thinking to herself, that's what Sir Ian said? But compared to the princess, this dress really doesn't suit me. She looked at the massive mansion and thought, besides, Dad will probably hate me. She remembered her journey here, but the trip that brought me here, the pretty clothes, the warmth, these are all things I never even dared to dream of. She held tightly to Landros' hand. It feels so wonderful. Tiel looked at his face. Landros pondered, Sir Ian, can we meet again? Walking to the reception area. Landros was suddenly confused when he saw Tiel wasn't sitting down. He asked, why are you just standing there? Sit down. Hearing that, Tiel firmly replied, I can stand. But Landros wasn't going to let that slide. He stood up from his chair, picked Tiel up, and plopped her down onto the sofa. Tiel let out a little yelp. After letting her sit down, Landros explained his action. Everyone else is sitting. If you keep standing like that, it's weird. Hearing this, Tiel timidly kept her mouth shut and thought, you think so? Suddenly, a maid rolled in a food cart. But looking at the food on the table, Tiel couldn't help but gasp. Wow. But she suddenly stopped herself, her cheeks flushing as if she remembered something. Landros watched her reaction and pondered. She refused all the food I offered on the trip and only took bread. He said softly, eat up. All of this is for you to eat. Tiel's face turned red as she hesitated. But wouldn't that be too rude? But before she could even lift a finger, a hand appeared and fed a piece of food right into the little girl's mouth. Tiel was instantly amazed, holding her cheeks. Landros asked her, is it good? Tiel replied, Yes, it's delicious. But the two of them didn't notice urgent footsteps echoing on the floor nearby. That person was none other than the head of the Asterion clan, Marquis Cassius Asterion, walking with a group of servants behind him. Cedric and Tiel were shocked. Cedric called out, "Marquis Celeste." Tiel looked at the man in front of her. Black hair, golden. The little girl deduced, "Is he my dad? What should I do? Should I greet him?" She recalled her past when Chandler once told her, "You idiot. Know your limits. That arrogant man. And you carry his blood, so you're just as much of a bastard. If he sees you, he'll definitely try to kill you. Remember that." Tiel cowered in fear, trembling. Now father and daughter faced each other without saying a word. Cassius suddenly spoke first. "Child." His face scrunched up, his lips trembling with emotion. But Tiel didn't realize that. Her face was tense with worry, a million thoughts racing through her head. Is he angry? What do I do? Is my presence annoying him? But Tiel clenched her fists with determination. "No! Sir Ian and Cedric will help me. I can't just give up like this. I have to do something." She hesitated for a long time, unable to speak. Suddenly, Tiel remembered something. The little girl pulled it out, a pendant with both hands. "My mom is Lena Nessian." Cassius took the necklace. He called out her name in his mind, Lena. Tiel waited anxiously for a reaction from the necklace. Tiel suddenly dropped her head. She couldn't wait any longer and clasped her hands together, begging, "Please let me stay." In front of Cedric and Landro, the little girl continued, "I'll only eat a little bit, and you can let me sleep in the basement or the laundry room. Anywhere is fine. I'll live quietly, so..." Tiel burst into tears, her voice gradually trailing off. "I just want to stay here." Cassius suddenly froze on the spot. He thought to himself, laundry room, basement. Suddenly he gripped the necklace tightly in anger, resentfully. What the hell? How dare they do that to such a little child? Cassius was about to reach out to touch the girl, but suddenly Tiel squeezed her eyes shut in fear. Seeing that Cassius' eyes widened in shock, he pulled his hand back, collected himself, and spoke gently to Tiel. "You said your name is Tiel, right? I have to entertain some guests, so can you wait for a little bit?" Tiel was surprised that she wasn't hit. Cassius then called a nearby maid and said, "It seems she's still a bit scared. Take her to a guest room to rest, and bring her something warm to eat." "Yes, sir," Dia respectfully replied. Dia walked over to Tiel and gently invited her. "Shall we go?" Tiel obediently replied yes. Before leaving, she looked anxiously at Cassius' silhouette. Cassius' silhouette stood motionless in place by the window in a room. Tiel quietly called out in her mind, "Dad." The little girl sat on a chair at the table. She couldn't stop thinking, he didn't say I could stay here. Tiel was terrified, her face pale. "I haven't been given permission yet. What should I do?" Tiel remembered her gold coins. "I can't even hire a carriage with this little money. Can I even survive outside?" Suddenly, she looked at her dress and calculated. "I guess I'll just have to sell this dress. But this is the first gift I ever received from Sir Ian." Dia rolled the food cart in. She flinched but still called out, "Miss, I've brought up some snacks." At this moment, Tiel's eyes welled up with tears. Dia asked the little girl curiously, "Is something wrong? Do you need me to report back to Master Cassius?" Tiel replied, no. Seeing that nothing was wrong, Dia clasped her hands respectfully. "If you eat something delicious, it will make you feel better." While they were still talking, "Take your time and rest." Tiel wasn't paying much attention anymore. She looked at the food and calculated, "If I get kicked out of here, I don't know when I'll ever have food this good to eat again." She reached out and grabbed a loaf of bread. "I need to make sure I won't go hungry for at least 2 days. I have to eat as much as I can." Meanwhile, in a guest room, the voices of Cassius and Landros echoed. "I understand. She had to run away." The kid lived in a terrible environment, lacking in every way. She said she had to go find her dad at Asterion. Hearing that, Cassius rubbed his forehead helplessly, blaming himself. It's worse than the shame of a father who couldn't find his child. Seeing how terrified and defensive she was, how on earth did she live at the Nessian estate? Cedric added details about their journey here. She sat huddled up during the entire trip. She even refused the meal we prepared for her. Suddenly, Landros turned his head to look at Cassius and added, "I saw that her body is covered in wounds. At Nessian, they even called her a maid." Hearing this, Cassius felt a wave of helpless sorrow. What exactly happened to her? "I believe the significance of the Nessian snow leopards and the Asterion black panthers. Between the two leopard clans, the one with the strongest abilities will become the next heir of the lineage. However, after 6 generations of Asterion holding power, the power of the Nessians seems to have declined, and now they merely maintain their dukedom status. In this situation, Lena, born into the Snow Leopard clan, was the clan's last hope to become stronger than the Asterion clan. However, she refused to take power in the clan and chose to become Cassius's wife. Meanwhile, Cornelia, who was supposed to step up as the head, was not capable enough to take on that position. In this case, the next descendant will definitely be an Asterion." Cassius lowered his head in thought, continuing, "That's why they hid Lena's child and raised her, hoping she would inherit Lena's power, using a poor child for the clan's purposes." Suddenly, from outside the door, Dia ran in, screaming frantically, "Master Cassius, the little girl that the guests brought." He was shocked, snapping out of his thoughts. "What is it? Did something happen to her?" Quick as lightning, Cassius and the servant rushed to her door. As soon as he opened the door, he hurriedly called out, "Tiel!" Inside it was a mess on the table and chairs. Cassius asked, What happened? Tiel was trembling in Dia's arms, her mouth non-stop apologizing. I was wrong. I'm sorry I made a mistake again. Then the little girl fainted. Dia panicked, calling out, Miss. When Cassius saw that, he immediately called for people right now, change her into some comfortable clothes, and let her rest. Call the physical therapist here. A servant replied, Yes, sir. The moment Dia carried Tiel past him, his hand froze in place. He stared at the scene before him, speechless. In the bedroom, Tiel lay on the bed. Two voices conversed. What exactly happened? Dia, She suddenly ate really fast and then threw it all up. It seems her stomach couldn't handle such a sudden amount of food. Then Dia added thoughtfully, even while she was in the guest room, she still looked very anxious. Always on the defensive. That's how she's been behaving until now. Cassius seemed to understand the situation. He turned and asked someone, Cadis, how is her condition? The physical therapist, Cades, pushed up his glasses and answered, She is severely malnourished, and her growth rate is much slower compared to her peers. The physical therapist continued, She seems sleep-deprived, so it's not surprising that she passed out asleep. So there's nothing to worry about, sir. Hearing that, Cassius breathed a sigh of relief, gently touching the bed curtains. Thank goodness. A while later, he sat on a chair right by the head of the bed, thinking to himself, I still haven't told her that she can stay here. If she wants anything, I will give her everything no matter what it is. Cassius looked at her. There's nothing to worry about. From now on, this will be your home. I need to tell her this. Then Cedric, standing nearby, spoke up. So, will we be making a certificate? Actually, based on the bloodline, Cassius looked seriously at Cedric and answered, We will. We need a paternity confirmation document to place her under the protection of the Asterion clan. After saying that, he quickly found some scissors and cut a lock of Tiel's hair. After cutting it, Cassius handed it to the butler and instructed, Take this hair and go get the paperwork done. They already have a sample of my hair there. Barden replied, Understood. After finishing everything, Cassius sat down on the chair. He stroked Tiel's hair. I always believed that. I would be able to find her someday. That's why I sent a sample of my hair to the tower. I didn't give up hope. Suddenly he stood up and said, Maybe we should step outside now. The child will wake up. Nearby, Cedric whispered to the boy, Landros, Your Highness, we shall return to the palace. Our schedule has been delayed quite a bit. Landros replied, What a pity. I was going to say goodbye, but... He looked at Tiel, sleeping on the bed, and whispered, See you later, Tiel. Outside the mansion, the sky was turning to dusk. A man was walking hurriedly, repeatedly muttering, Cassius? The child. Where is the child? A quick introduction about this man. His name is Alpheus Evan Asterion, the Duke of Asterion, the head of the Leopard clan, the leader of Asterion, carrying the heavy responsibilities of a leader, the solid pillar of the family. The butler saw him and thought, yes. He completely forgot about the current situation. Then he reminded Alpheus Evan, My lord, do you have a dinner appointment with the Marquise? Alpheus Evan ignored him and said hurriedly, Leave that for later. My granddaughter, who we thought was dead, has returned. Alpheus Evan rushed over to ask his son, So, where is the child? Are you sure it's Lena's daughter? Seeing his father so hasty, Cassius spoke up to reassure him. I've ordered a paternity test, but I'm almost certain. Father, she is a snow leopard with the amber eyes of a black panther, hidden away by the Nessians. Even so, that didn't calm Alpheus Evan down. He insisted firmly, I must see her right now. Cassius stopped his father and told him, She is sleeping in the room Olivia used to stay in. But in the end, he couldn't stop his father's footsteps. He could only remind him, Father, remember to be quiet when you go in. Alpheus Evan gently opened the door. All right, I know. Seriously. He looked at Tiel sleeping on the bed, deeply moved, unable to hold back his words. Little one. He looked at Tiel emotionally. I truly never expected you to be in this world, and that I would finally get to meet you. After seeing her, Alpheus Evan quietly stepped out of the room. He looked at his son seriously. So what exactly happened? Why did the Nessians hide her, hiding her existence from us? Cassius crossed his arms and replied, Since she is Lena's child, they probably didn't want to lose her. It seems the kid went through a lot of hardships before the crown prince found her. Voices from a nightmare. Useless. The disgrace of the Nessians. At this age, and still not a single ounce of power awakened, she was born after cursing her mother to death. Tiel sleep-talking. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Please don't hate me, please. Suddenly, Tiel woke up from her nightmare with a start. Tiel looked at the ceiling in confusion. This ceiling looks strange. She sat up on the bed. That's right. I'm at Asterion. Even though I caused trouble, I was still allowed to sleep on a bed. I won't be kicked out, right? Suddenly, she looked toward the door confused. Voices kept whispering something nonstop. Tiel anxiously and quietly approached the voices. The closer she got, the clearer the words became terrifying Tiel. That's exactly what happened. That rat should have just been killed. Hearing this, Tiel started overthinking. Killed. What do I do? It seems like the servants here don't know who I am, so that's why they're treating me nicely. Tiel recalled her father's scary face. I think everyone in this clan hates me. If I don't run away, I'll be killed. As night fell, Tiel transformed into a small snow leopard cub and gently opened the door. She took a look around. Everyone must be asleep. I need to escape right now. She wandered through the main estate. As she walked, she thought anxiously, I don't want to die again. That night, Cassius went to visit her room. He suddenly realized something was wrong and called the servants. What? She disappeared? We lost track of her during the shift change. We have mobilized all our forces to find her. Cassius summoned a flame in his hand and warned them. Remember, do not frighten the child. He tossed the flame forward and commanded, Salamander, find her. She's a snow leopard with amber eyes. He pursed his lips. Where could you have gone? Cassius's face scrunched up with determination. I haven't done anything for you yet, but this time I have to explain things clearly to her. Salamander flew to a storage shed. It reported that it had found the child. In the shed, that the child is crying. The child with white hair is crying. Hearing that, Cassius grabbed a lantern and headed over. Meanwhile, Tiel was sitting in a corner sobbing quietly. Tiel's body trembled as she kept repeating, Please don't kill me, Grandpa. I'll go back to Nessian. I was wrong. Please save me. I'm sorry. Cassius, standing behind her, heard all of this. Heartbroken, he said, Come here, child. But what Tiel blurted out made Cassius's eyes widen in shock. I don't have any special powers at all. But Cassius sadly looked away and replied to the little girl warmly, You don't need any special powers. As long as you stay here, that's enough. Come here. But when Tiel saw him approaching, she grew terrified, her face turning pale. Suddenly, she screamed, making him freeze in shock. I was wrong. I'll obey from now on. Seeing this, he helplessly told the little girl, Child, no matter what happens, or what appears. Tiel was terrified, still muttering nonstop, Please don't kill me. But suddenly, her hands created something sparkling and golden. The light enveloped the two of them. When Cassius saw this spectacle, he was amazed. Meanwhile, Tiel fainted from sheer exhaustion. Cassius panicked and shouted, Tiel. The next morning, Tiel opened her eyes and immediately heard Cassius's voice. Daughter. He excitedly welcomed the little girl. You're awake. Tiel saw her father right by the bed and got scared. Dad. Why is Dad next to me? He's supposed to hate me, she remembered that night. But back then, I thought I heard Dad's voice sounding so warm. Was it a dream? The voice that brought me here. Cassius sat down and reassured her. I'm sorry for waking you up, but I'll try to help you feel better and get plenty of rest. He called someone over and introduced him. This is the person who will take care of your health from now on. Cade's the physical therapist of Asterion. Cades bowed his head respectfully. Hello, my lady. Just call me Cades. Tiel was shocked. She bolted upright and blurted out, A physical therapist? Siasa. But why would a physical therapist take care of me? She remembered when she was at Nessian. A clan physical therapist, a personal healer, is only for clan members. They are the only ones allowed to receive treatment. Even when I injured my forehead, they didn't even give me a piece of cloth to clean the wound. Back in the present, Tiel spoke to him and the therapist nearby. I'm not an Asterion, but you're still letting them take care of me. Really? Cassius didn't over-explain to the little girl. He just gently asked, Daughter, what color are your eyes? Hearing that Tiel was confused, but still answered, Amber, Cassius then began to explain. That is the proof that you are my daughter, a member of the Asterion clan. As long as you have those eyes, there is nothing saying you aren't allowed to be here. Tiel, still innocent and not fully grasping it, repeated. So that means I can stay here. Cassius smiled warmly and reached his hand out. Also, you don't need to eat small portions. You don't have to live like you have nothing anymore. You don't need to sleep in the basement or the laundry room. There's nothing to worry about. You can live here peacefully. Hearing this, she covered her mouth with her hand, her eyes welling up with tears of emotion. Thank you. Cassius smiled and said to the physical therapist, You must be tired then. Let's finish the treatment right away, shall we, Cades? Cades replied, Yes, Marquis. At the breakfast table, Tiel took a bite and pondered, but I clearly heard that I had to die. A voice that sounded like Grandpa's. Then Tiel looked at the maid behind her and kept overthinking. I'm so worried. But Dad said I can stay. Is this really okay? Suddenly, Dia, holding some pastry, said cheerfully, Miss, you should try this. It's the chef's special pudding. Then Dia offered the plate. Tia couldn't forget what the chef had said in her head. Because of the order to prepare delicious food fit for her, everyone in the kitchen busted their butts. See, let's go all out for the new young lady. Hearing that, Tia nervously replied, Yes. Dia scooped a spoonful and brought it to Tia, saying, Taking a little sniff will help you relax. Come on, give it a taste. Tia obediently took a bite. Then her eyes lit up. I've never tasted anything this good before. Dia was absolutely stoked. Suddenly, Tia hesitated and asked Dia, am I really allowed to stay here? Dia answered with a warm tone, Of course. Eat lots of yummy food. Do all the things you love. You're gonna live your best life in this mansion. Tia's eyes sparkled as she asked Dia, Then can I stay by your side? The little girl thought to herself, She's such a warm and sweet big sister. I want to stay with her. Dia was totally shook. Oh my God, my lady. Dia excitedly introduced herself. My name is Dia. Tia repeated, Dia. Yes, Dia said with the same smile to Tia. Until your personal maid is decided, I will stay and serve by your side. Hearing that, the little girl asked again, So when that time comes, can we decide in advance? Suddenly, Dia winked, placed a hand on her chest, and confidently declared to Tia, "Hey, this is low-key a secret, but I've already been chosen to be your personal maid." Startled and in disbelief, the girl asked again, "Really?" Tia beamed, "Yes, so don't you worry. From now on, I'll always be right by your side." Hearing that, Tia happily put her hands to her cheek. "Wow, I'm so hyped." Tia told Tia, "Your room will be ready real soon. So I'm sorry, but please, stay in this uncomfortable room for a little while longer. We are going to decorate a super gorgeous room for you." Tia replied, "Yes, this room is already comfy and pretty enough." She wondered, am I really going to be treated even better than this? Meanwhile, in another place, voices echoed. "So, is there something you want to say, Father? You told me to rest, and wouldn't even let me see my own granddaughter's face." "Do you know how worried I am?" Cassius leaned on his hand and told his father, "You already saw her, didn't you?" Alpheus Evan pouted, complaining to his son, "But I wanted to hear her voice too. After we found her in the basement. You already saw her, and you even got to talk to my granddaughter." "Yes." Cassius suddenly became serious, resting his hand on his chin, and said, "Anyway, this is a serious matter." Hearing this, Alpheus Evan immediately turned serious and asked, "What is something wrong with the girl?" He replied, "Yes." And Cassius continued, "She has a special power." Alpheus Evan was startled. He asked again, "A power? I've never heard of such a power." Cassius replied, "Yes, but truly her power is not the ice of the snow leopard nor the fire of the Black Panther. It's the power of light." Alpheus Evan was horrified to hear this. "What? The power of light? Really? Did you actually see it with your own eyes?" Cassius recalled that night and replied, "Yes, I saw it plain as day." The old man was terrified, his face pale as he touched his head. "Impossible. The power of light. So the legend is true." There was a legend passed down by the emperor, who passed away long ago. A legend about the one who would be able to wield the power of light. A child gifted by God. Lissa's light will bring the dawn to the kingdom that is forever plunged in darkness, banish the eternal darkness, and bring balance between light and dark. Now, even though the legend is ancient, still no one believes the power of light actually exists. Legends are just legends. Alpheus Evan reasoned with difficulty. And even now, you still can't believe in the power of light, Father. If this is true, the royal family and the tower will definitely try to snatch her away. Wouldn't she be a living legend? Who could shake the very empire? Cassius looked at his father's inner turmoil and interrupted, "Don't worry, Father. Both the royal family and the tower, if they really wanted to take Tia, they would become enemies of Asterion." Alpheus Evan still couldn't shake his anxiety. He narrowed his eyes. "That might be true, but that's not my only concern. Our Leopard clan, can we hide the child carrying the legendary power of light? No, a legend who is said to stand at the top of the clans. Nathan and Asterion, and is destined for greatness. Asterion and Nathan will reclaim their true power along with a blazing aura." He walked over and looked out the door. True power. If that child can break the curse of Asterion... Cassius looked at his father and called out, "Father, legends are just legends." He said seriously, "Tia is simply a human girl who was just found. I don't want to force anything on her." Hearing this, he nodded in agreement. "You're right. That is the most important thing." 1 week later, over a delicious meal set on the table, Cassius asked Tia, "So is there anything making you uncomfortable?" Tia answered, "No." She said that, but she wasn't sitting in the center seat, which made him a bit curious. Cassius stood up, approached the girl, and asked, "Why don't you sit closer over here?" Tia didn't react. She replied, "This is fine." But suddenly Cassius picked her up, which startled Tia. Cassius? But he didn't do anything else. He set Tia down on the center chair. Cassius then sat down comfortably. "How's that? Much cozier, right?" Seeing this, Tia froze for a second, then quickly got her bearings back. She replied cutely, "Yes." Cassius saw his daughter smile. He thought, I just have to touch her gently to make her smile. Cassius's eyes softened. Just a little gentle gesture helped her drop her guard. "After they stole you from me, they robbed us of so many moments where I could have made you happy." Cassius set his teacup down. He recalled, "The day you came here, do you remember using the power of light in the basement?" "Yes." Hearing that, Tia was puzzled. "Light. Yes, I guess so." He saw the girl still didn't quite get it. He explained to Tia, "That is your power." As soon as he finished, Tia was shook. "My power." He told Tia about her power. That's right, a very special power. A power that can bring light to the darkest of places, driving away the darkness in this world. "You are the chosen one to become the future queen." But Tia replied worriedly, "Me?" Tia reasoned in horror. "No way. Just a few days ago, I was a useless half-blood. I couldn't even use any powers. Is that really a special power?" But Cassius has no reason to lie to me. Suddenly, she called out to Cassius, "Father." Cassius, who was taking a sip of tea, smiled and replied, Tia asked timidly, So with this power, can I help Asterion? Hearing that Cassius was startled, his eyes wide open. He stopped drinking and replied. He set the teacup down and stood up. My dear, you have no obligation to help this place, even without powers. You're still my adorable daughter, and an important member of this family. Then Cassius smiled and gently held out his hand. My daughter. If any family needs to rely on the help of a child, that would be incredibly shameful. Tia, a kid doesn't need to sweat stuff like this. You just need to do whatever you love. I just wanted to let you know about your own power, not because I expect anything from you. Remember that. Your only job is to play and live your best life, got it? Tia pondered for a moment. My job is to eat and sleep. Yes. She smiled happily and replied, yes, father. At the Nathan mansion, Trandall angrily slammed his fist on the desk. It's been a week, and you still haven't found that brat. And you still haven't found her. Trandall yelled angrily at the knight. Search every nook and cranny of the mansion right now. If she got out, there's no way she could have run far. The knight respectfully replied, yes, sir. He frowned and looked out the window. There's no way. That little squirt could survive in this freezing weather. There's a massive blizzard outside. If she went to the snowy mountains, she'd be dead meat by now. But even if the chances are slim, is there any way Asterion could find her? After thinking for a moment, he turned around and clicked his tongue to pretending to give up, and then just vanishing into thin air. Just like your mother, a total pain in the ass. Suddenly, he paused and said coldly, if she dared to run away and croaked somewhere, that actually sounds kinda dope. Suddenly, he ordered the nearby butler to tell the knight at least find her corpse. The butler replied, yes, sir. Trandall looked out the window. He said with cold-blooded cruelty, and if she's still breathing, put an end to it. But in another place, a breathtaking and luxurious scene. By now, Tia had changed her clothes. She tied her hair in twin tails and dropped her jaw when she saw her room. This is my room. It's so bright and pretty, and it looks twice as big as Loa's room too. Tia peeked over and asked the butler, but Mr. Butler, isn't this a bit overkill for me? I don't need to stay in a room this nice. Hearing that, the butler smiled gently at her. Then Patton bowed respectfully and explained the reason to Tia. Miss, there is nothing in this mansion that you do not deserve. You are also one of the masters of this place. If you need anything, just feel free to tell me. Tia questioned herself in doubt. Me, a master of this mansion. And Patton added, he gestured forward, speaking respectfully to Tia. Furthermore, Lord Cassius and the master of this place have also prepared gifts for you. The master of the mansion put a lot of thought into this room. She asked the butler in confusion, the master of the mansion, you mean? Hearing that, a Patton replied, your grandfather, Lord Alpheus. Suddenly, Tia remembered that moment. She trembled, her face pale. The voice she heard back then. She turned around nervously and asked the master of the mansion, do you hate me? He smiled and sighed, knowing Tia was having those thoughts again. Of course not. He actually cares about you a lot, he said helplessly in his mind. It seems she has been through a lot of trauma in the past. Patton saw Tia constantly showing her fear of being hated, so he dropped some more comforting words. Lord Alpheus is usually at the mansion, but you can only meet him once, when he's done with work. Even though she knew the answer, she still felt mad and secure. Is it really okay? The one who said that was my grandfather. I'm so scared. Time flew by real quick, and a few days later, a hand grabbed the door handle. The person who opened it was Alpheus Evan. He invited Tia, who was standing outside. Come in, kiddo. He smiled and reached out to lead Tia in. I heard from Patton. Do you think I hate you? I called you here to clear up all those misunderstandings. But suddenly Tia hesitated and wouldn't step inside. Alpheus Evan was confused and asked her, what's wrong? Tia trembled in fear, tears about to fall, and stuttered, before you said kill, son. Alpheus Evan was confused, stroking his chin. He wondered, kill what? Suddenly it hit Alpheus Evan like a ton of bricks. He panicked, his face turning pale. Wait, did she hear me say I should kill Trandall? Realizing he was being totally misunderstood, Alpheus Evan threw his hands up and yelled, it's just a misunderstanding. But by this time, Tia was so terrified she was hiding behind the bookshelf. Seeing this, he froze on the spot. Then, without a word, he dropped to one knee on the floor. Alpheus Evan gently approached Tia and said, that was what I was planning to say to your maternal grandfather. I couldn't hold back when I found out. My little angel of a granddaughter was treated so horribly. I'm really sorry for scaring you. Can you forgive this old man? Hearing those words, Tia turned around, holding back her tear, and confirmed, really? Alpheus Evan replied, of course. I missed you so much. Alpheus Evan sulked and explained the reason to Tia. It's all Cassius's fault. He wouldn't let me see you at all. That's why this misunderstanding happened. He recalled the time he begged Cassius to let him see his granddaughter. He was constantly rejected. No, absolutely not. He continued, I wanted to drink tea with my granddaughter, shower you with gifts, and pat your head, but Alpheus Evan vented his frustration to Tia while she seemed to finally get the picture. He said he had dinner with you yesterday, right? I'm so jelly. Hearing that, Tia covered her mouth and giggled. That smile literally stopped his heart on the spot. Tia clenched her hands, feeling a huge weight lifted off her chest. Thank you for giving me such a beautiful room. Grandpa, hearing that, Alpheus Evan blushed and clutched his heart. No, it's nothing at all. I have tons of presents for you, even some super exclusive one-of-a-kind stuff. Tia pushed out out a cart full of gift boxes. Alpheus Evan grabbed a pink gift box and held it out to Tia. Here, this is for you. Tia opened the gift. It was a cute black plushy bear with yellow eyes. A gift for me. Is this a Black Panther doll? It's so soft and it has the same eye color as me. Her eyes sparkled as she lifted the plushie. Seeing his granddaughter liked it, Alpheus Evan asked her, "Do you like it?" Tia happily replied, "Yes, I love it." Hearing Tia say that, Alpheus Evan smiled so wide his eyes turned into crescents. "I'm so glad. Your older brother also really liked Black Panther plushies when he was little." Tia suddenly froze. She wondered, brother, older brother, Alpheus. Evan looked at Dia in confusion and asked, "Has no one told her about Ferdy and Ludian yet?" Dia's sweat dropped and replied, "No, sir. I thought that was major news. That should be delivered by the master of the mansion himself." Alpheus Evan sighed at that and told Tia, with an image of a family nearby, "I see. Well, you'll meet them real soon. You have 2 older brothers." Those 2 packed their bags and rushed back from the academy. The second they heard about you, she looked at the plushie in her hands and whispered to herself, "Older brothers. If they are my older brothers." But Tia thought of her 2 brothers whose faces she hadn't even seen yet. "Mom died because of me. Father and Grandpa understand because they're adults. But what about my brothers? They must miss Mom a lot, just like how I miss Father." Alpheus Evan noticed Tia's gloomy expression. He asked the girl, "Is something wrong?" He looked surprised as if figuring it out. "Oh my, you look wiped out. I'll have all the gifts sent to your room, so you go get some rest first. If you need anything, just say the word." Dia approached Tia, holding out both hands to her. "I'll lead the way, my lady." Tia reached out and took Dia's hand. The little girl said goodbye to her grandfather. "Yes, thank you, Grandpa." Alpheus Evan beamed with pure joy at being called Grandpa. "That's right, I am your grandpa." Outside, the sun had already set. Cassius asked his father, "What are you planning to do with Nathan?" Alpheus Evan rested his chin on his hand, scowling. "I plan to send them a letter. If we don't play by the rules, they might snatch her away again." Did she say she would be useful to the family? Is that really something a 7-year-old should be thinking about? Just how much? Did Trandle torture and abuse that poor girl? Cassius added, "Her self-esteem is rock bottom." He angrily clenched his fists. "I seriously regret not finding her sooner." Alpheus Evan suddenly made a decision. Even though she's just a kid, she is still Lena's child. We can't outright accuse them of hiding her, but I can make them pay in other ways. It's time Nathan gets their karma. Trandle collapsed in disbelief. "The trade routes are blocked." The butler holding a piece of paper replied, "That is correct. And they also said they are cutting off all essential supplies to us." Trandle gritted his teeth, furious and anxious. What if Asterion blocks the trade routes? Our export routes will definitely be blocked too. Because Nathan is located so far away, we can only connect to other regions through Asterion. If the export routes are blocked, we have no choice but to use sea routes to export our minerals. Besides, aren't the essentials supplied by the head of the Leopard clan? Asterion has been sending way more than we needed. I've been using the surplus to keep the family's finances afloat. Are they expecting me to pay it all back? After blocking the import and export routes, did Alpheus figure something out? Suddenly, he picked up a black letter. Maybe it's because of this. He was confused as he opened it. What's this? He read the letter and froze in dead silence. A letter to the Nathan family. It seems it has been verified whether Nathan is qualified to raise the child. From now on, we will take full responsibility for Tia. Trandle looked at the letter, utterly shocked, and muttered, "Tia is at Asterion, but it takes 3 days to get there. How the hell?" Suddenly, his eyes widened in shock. Wait. He remembered the image of Tia running towards the guest room. Then remembering that carriage, he gasped, "This is freaking unbelievable." His face darkened as he crushed the letter in his hand. Did Tia get on the royal carriage? Trandle tightly gripped the letter. Right, that's actually possible. He thought of the image of Tia and Cedric. The crown prince said something, so the 2 of them must have gone to Asterion together. If this news reaches the emperor's ears... He furiously yelled at the butler nearby, "Damn it! How the hell could you be so careless?" Hearing that the butler could only bow his head and take the blame. "I'm sorry, sir." Trandle pointed his finger and screamed in rage. "Go find Zara right now. Make that maid take the fall for this. And anyone indirectly involved in letting her escape, punish them all." Suddenly, Loa appeared right at the door. She gripped her skirt tightly and pleaded, "No, please don't. What do you mean? Fire Zara, but Zara is my nanny." Trandle worried if the girl had heard anything. He quickly reassured the girl, "Loa, we'll talk about this later. This is grown-up stuff." But Loa didn't care. She still stubbornly screamed in protest. "No, I don't want to. You can't take Zara anywhere. No matter what happens, I won't allow it." But Trandle at this moment lost his temper and yelled in Loa's face, "I said we'll talk about this later." Hearing that the little girl fell silent in fear, then she quickly started trembling again, tears welling up as she stuttered, "Grandpa yelled at me." Then Loa immediately ran away, leaving without looking back. "I hate you." Hearing that the butler quickly called after her, Miss. Trandle rested his head on his hand and sighed. Sigh. What a headache. Meanwhile, 2 light fishes were swimming through the air. Tia sat on the bed, looking at the light she created deep in thought. Why can't it get any bigger than this? Loa would probably be totally shook right now. She remembered how Loa could create all kinds of ice. Why can't I do that? Suddenly, she remembered Cassius's face. She shook her head, stopping her thoughts. No, I shouldn't waste it. Father said I'm very special. Someday I'll be able to do that too. Outside, Dia opened the door and called Tia. My lady, it's time to eat. Hearing that, Tia immediately stood up and replied, yes. Outside the dining room, Tia was led to the dining table. The little girl thought to herself, this is the first time everyone is eating together in the dining room. And it's also the day I meet my 2 older brothers. Cassius saw her standing frozen and called out, come over here, Tia. Tia replied yes. As she sat down, she accidentally noticed the person in front of her. The boy also looked back at Tia. Then he spoke up to greet her first hello. So, you are my little sister? His name is Ferdy Asterion. Tia clasped her hands together and stuttered a greeting in return. Hello, my name is Tia and I'm 7 years old this year. Suddenly, another person rested his cheek on his hand and spoke up. She's so tiny. The person who just spoke was Ludian Asterion. He crossed his arms and continued. Is she really my sister? Hearing that, Tia panicked, her eyes wide open, her mouth shaped like an O, unable to speak. Seeing that, Ferdy immediately warned Ludian, watch your mouth. That's super rude, but it's really weird. A snow leopard with black panther eyes. Usually, even if you're a half-blood, you'd only take after one of your parents. Ludian teased without knowing it would hurt Tia. Amber eyes and silver hair, huh? That's hella weird. Suddenly, Tia remembered the insults from others in the past. You half-blood, how dare you? Think you can look at me with those creepy eyes? Tia felt sad and sorry for herself looking down. Right. My existence? Seeing that, Cassius immediately stepped in, making the boy freeze like a startled cat. Ludian stopped talking nonsense. He frowned and said, your sister is shy. Chill out for my sake. Ludian awkwardly explained, As for Ferdy, he already picked up his knife and fork and replied, understood, father. Before staying quiet, he told his younger brother, stop acting a fool, Ludian. Ludian angrily called his brother's name. Hey, Ferdy. But he only got a reply saying, that's enough. Let's eat. Ferdy happily introduced himself at the dinner table. A maid brought the food over. Tia, it's so nice to meet you. I'm Ferdy, and this is Ludian. Ian, we're twins. He smiled warmly and said to Tia, I'm really happy to have such a freaking cute little sister. I used to be so jealous of my friends who got to go to festivals with their younger siblings. I hope we can get closer. Hearing that, Tia excitedly replied, yes, please take care of me. Cassius, who had been listening the whole time, spoke up. I have already notified the academy, so we can all stay together for a while. It's time for you to get to know everyone. Tia happily replied, yes. Ludian chewed his food and thought, this is unbelievable. After eating, Ludian asked Ferdy, didn't you say having siblings is a pain? Hearing that, Ferdy glanced at his brother and replied, it's only a pain when it's someone like you. Ludian walked behind him, whining. Why am I the younger one when we have the exact same birthday? Suddenly, Ludian got mad seeing his brother stay silent. Hey, are you ignoring me? Suddenly, Ferdy turned around and chuckled. Anyway, she is our little sister. Stop throwing a fit and go make friends with her. Hearing that, Ludian pouted, looking a bit grumpy. Even if you don't say it, I'll still treat her well. On the other hand, Ludian reasoned, the youngest of Asterion, a child accepted after taking a paternity test, of the same bloodline, with the perfect appearance of a snow leopard with black panther eyes. Is this someone's setup? A tiny, pitiful appearance. But Ferdy had a different thought. Why is no one questioning this? Father and Grandpa are just eating it up. Ludian is treating it like some game, and her power of light. The curse of Orfeo is passed down through every generation of Black Panthers. The madness of using power until it goes out of control. If it gets worse, it can make a person go completely insane. But she is said to be born with this madness. Besides, they say she can break the curse with the power of light. Ferdy smirked. No way. Ferdy recalled that smile during the meal. Everyone is acting like an idiot because of that tiny, harmless look. She became an Asterion. Ferdy walked forward, firmly continuing to scheme. I don't buy this for a second. On a bridge with bright sunshine, another beautiful day arrived. The cute Tia was sitting right there, riding the one-of-a-kind merry-go-round Grandpa made for her. Dia brought some food over and noticed Tia acting weird. She asked softly, yes. Is something bothering you, my lady? Tia put her hand to her mouth, coughing a few times, which confused Dia a bit. No, it's nothing. Dia replied, don't worry, just tell me. Hearing that, Tia spoke up, feeling a bit uncomfy. It's not that I'm uncomfortable, but my 2 brothers, why are they acting like that? By the flower bush, Ludian and Ferdy were hiding nearby amidst the sparkling roses. Ludian and Ferdy realized they were busted. The 2 muttered to each other. We got caught, but we hid so well. It's because you were being too obvious. Well, what was I supposed to do? And Tia recounted that The whole time, her two brothers had been tailing her 24/7, and they also hid behind the door in the main hall. And just now, I even saw them hiding behind the window. Hearing that, Dia sweated buckets thinking, at the second floor window. Tia sighed and continued. Did I do something wrong? Dia immediately explained to Tia, no way. They are definitely just curious. About their adorable little sister, that's all. But your father told them to keep their distance for now. Even so, Tia couldn't stop feeling anxious. But when our eyes meet, every time Ferdy looks at me, she remembered when she met Ferdy in his room. Ferdy looked at her with scary eyes. Tia. Hello. Back then, Tia froze when she accidentally bumped into Ferdy. He looks like he's sizing me up, even though it was our first meeting. He was very nice, but it's like he already knows too much. Suddenly, a red-haired maid ran over. Excuse me for a moment. Seeing that Dia approached the maid. Oh my. Is that true? The maid pointed and replied, yes, he's here. The red-haired maid spoke again. Miss, a guest has arrived at the mansion's hall. They want to see you. Hearing herself called, Tia quickly replied, me, who is it? The maid dropped a bombshell. It's Crown Prince Landros, the one who brought you here. Hearing that, Tia was amazed, her eyes lighting up. She couldn't believe her ears. Ian, he came to see me. Suddenly, Dia's expression changed to worry. If it makes you uncomfortable, I'll turn him away. But Tia replied no. She happily told Dia her true feelings. I want to see him. I haven't even thanked him properly yet. Suddenly, a noise from the flower bush startled Tia. Looking in that direction, Dia quickly checked. Are you guys behind the bush okay? Suddenly a hand reached up, sending rose petals flying everywhere. Turns out it was the two of them. Ferdy and Ludian stepped out together, sparkling as if nothing happened. Ferdy rubbed his head and said, is Landros really here to visit? Ludian chimed in, that's ridiculous. Normally, he doesn't even let us get close to him. And yet he specifically comes to visit our little sister. Ferdy agreed, so true. Suddenly, Ferdy asked Dia nearby, is there an order or something? Hearing that, Dia got flustered. Young Master Ferdy. But before she could recover, Ludian added, what if that guy does something to my cute little sister? Taking shock after shock, Dia nervously replied, calling him that guy is very disrespectful. Ferdy, quick as lightning, had approached her without anyone noticing and said to Tia, Tia, you're still way too young to entertain a royal guest. Even if he was the one who introduced you, it's best to send him back. The adults of the family should go see him off. Ferdy placed his hand on Tia's chair and continued, right, Tia? Tia, not knowing the hidden meaning, innocently replied, yes. From afar, Ian had heard the whole conversation. He spoke up, that guy you mentioned. I didn't plan on hearing smack talk. Right as I set foot here, you know. Hearing this familiar voice, Tia instinctively turned to look towards the voice. Could it be Ian? He came here? Landros appeared looking totally badass in a gorgeous outfit. Seeing this, Ferdy stepped up to greet him. Oh my. The Crown Prince arrived without giving us a heads up. What brings you here? Ian ignored the tone, crossed his arms, and arrogantly replied, I told my servant to announce me. I guess they haven't done it yet. Behind him, the maid heard this and bowed in fear. Hearing that, Ludian raised his hand. Right, Ian. My sister is really shy. That's the reason. Why, we haven't even had a proper conversation yet. Ferdy added, exactly. I'm very grateful that you brought my sister back. But your visit is way too sudden. Tia needs time to get used to this place, right? Landros sighed. He said arrogantly, who was the one who brought back the lost sister of Asterion? The one everyone thought was dead, huh? Is this how Asterion treats their savior? But Ferdy wasn't backing down. He replied, Asterion usually doesn't treat guests like this. But if it comes from a place of protecting our sister, then this is completely normal, isn't it? Suddenly, Ferdy realized something was off about what he said. He thought to himself, hold on. I'm not even sure if she's really my sister. So, why am I even arguing about this? No, it's because she's just a kid. She's too little. How could I leave her alone with a guy like this? Meanwhile, Tia tightly gripped her hands, nervously stuttering as she spoke up. Excuse me, she made an adorably pleading face. But I really want to express my gratitude to Lord Ian. Just for a little bit, please let me talk to him. As soon as she finished speaking, the two brothers blushed, their hearts stopping. Ludian and Ferdy snapped out of it, each with a different opinion. If it's just for a little while, even so, being alone with him is still super dangerous, Ian. Is literally twice your size. Landros stood there, watching this whole scene. He angrily put his hands on his hips. Are you two implying I'd do something to her? I just came to give her a gift. Since that didn't feel right, she pulled Ferdy's hand and suggested, can you stay with me? Ferdy blushed at this gesture. He absent-mindedly replied, me. Ludian, seeing himself left out, immediately chimed in, Tia, what about me? Hearing that, she immediately replied, then Ludian, you stay with me too. But suddenly, Ferdy smiled brightly and said to Tia, making Ludian startled, Tia, Ludian is super busy. Let me go with you. And just like that, the two brothers started bickering again. What since when am I busy? Didn't you completely slack off on your academy homework? Just looking at you, I bet you're gonna miss the deadline. You dirty player. My lord. All right, let's go, Tia. Watch your step. Landros watched this scene and was totally fed up. Yes. Tia didn't mind much anymore. She just stood up and replied, yes, brother. Ferdy smiled back, but deep down, he was scheming. All right, I'll keep an eye on her. I won't fall for her act like everyone else. Ludian trailed behind, helpless and unable to do anything, pouting his face. This guy is definitely... He looked at Ferdy and Tia walking away and felt annoyed. Did I get won over by that kid? Why do I suddenly find her so freaking cute? In the reception room, Landros checked in on Tia. Your complexion has clearly improved. You look a lot healthier than when you first got here. Tia, sitting in the center, replied, yes, everyone at Asterion treats me so well. Landros looked straight at Tia. I'm glad you're doing well. I was a bit worried since we didn't get to say goodbye. Then he snapped his fingers. A bunch of servants immediately appeared, carrying clothes and gift boxes. Seeing this, Tia covered her mouth in confusion. Then she exclaimed in shock, this is way too much. Ferdy, who had been silent all this time, spoke up to T. Thanks for the gifts, Ian. But if it's just dresses, she could easily get those at Asterion. But Ian wasn't having it. He looked at Ferdy and arrogantly replied, she's used to wearing baggy clothes that don't fit well. Don't you remember? Come to think of it, these are way better than the stuff at Asterion, right? No one here would even think of outfits like this. The vibe instantly turned into a battlefield between these two. Seeing that Tia stood up and ran toward the pile of dresses nearby. If this keeps up, these two are gonna start throwing hands. If I don't stop them... And Tia walked up to a dress, hesitating. Which one should I pick? But she quickly made a choice and pulled out a dress. This one looks the simplest. After Tia made her pick, she diffused the tension with fashion. Thank you, Lord Ian, but this is way too much. I'll just pick this one, okay? Landros suddenly burst into amused, arrogant laughter. So you're admitting that you are the youngest daughter of the Asterion family, and you're satisfied with just one dress. She panicked and replied, yes, wait, no, that's not it. Seeing that cute expression, he leaned in closer. If not, I'll just accept it all. Of course, your older brother can easily buy things for you too, without even realizing it. Ferdy sat there getting pissed off at Landros' teasing. Landros suddenly narrowed his eyes, looking a bit somber. It's just that I felt low-key guilty for only buying you one outfit that time. Hearing that, she immediately understood, remembering that yellow dress. That was the first gift I ever received. He gave me the absolute best gift ever. Yes. Ferdy sat there and sighed. Well, if there's nothing else, it's better for her to get used to receiving a lot of things. He continued, soon there will be an official announcement that you are the youngest daughter of Asterion. People who want to get on the family's good side are definitely gonna shower you with gifts. Clothes, jewels, a whole bunch of stuff. To be honest, not all of them will be a good fit. But Ian, hearing that, instantly changed his expression to an annoyed one. Are you throwing shade at me? This isn't a gift from the royal family. It's just a personal gift I put together for her. Ferdy winked one eye while leaving the other open teasingly. I wasn't throwing shade at you. If it's the crown prince's personal gift, I'm a bit underwhelmed. The two immediately went back to their heated, ready-to-brawl state, glaring fiercely at each other. Tia stood there helplessly trembling and said in a small voice, please don't fight, you guys. Seeing that the bickering wasn't going anywhere, Ian pulled Tia close to him and declared, I'm taking her with me. I can't let this toxic older brother be a bad influence on you. Hearing that, Ferdy stood up furiously and warned, you mean you're declaring her the youngest of Asterion? Crown Prince Landros scoffed and replied to Ferdy, the paternity test results aren't even out yet. Hearing that, Tia felt sad and sorry for herself. Oh, right. I am my father's daughter, the one from Asterion. But what if the results say I'm not Landros? Realized he slipped up. He leaned down and gently asked Tia, are you worried about something? Don't sweat it. Even if the results don't go your way, I'll still just take you back to the royal palace. You're way too cute for me not to. Seeing that, Ferdy got so mad his jaw dropped. What? And Tia was visibly pumped up. Ian wants me. Ferdy couldn't just let things slide like that. He pulled Tia back to his side, his words sounding like a declaration. That's not happening, so don't worry. You know, amber eyes are the trademark of the Black Panther clan. And he gently spoke sweet words to Tia. Tia, if anyone tries to sweet talk you, just hit them with a hard pass. Hearing that, she asked him in confusion, but Lord Ian is a guest here. But without hesitation, he immediately put his hands on Tia's shoulder, his eyes showing a sharp glint. It doesn't matter who it is. If it's an outsider, just reject them all. Got it, making Tia awkwardly reply, yes. Suddenly, he nudged Tia forward, forcing her to choose. Now you tell him. Hearing that, Tia was totally lost. Look to the left, no. Look to the right, no. No. Landros, seeing the situation, felt bummed and awkwardly touched his head. Major bummer. Then he turned and walked away. I'm heading out now. So, stop treating me like an uninvited crasher, all right? Sometimes you really seem to forget your place, huh? Ferdy smiled and cheerfully shot back, no way. I am perfectly aware that I'm from Asterion. Tia saw Landros about to reach the door and ran after him, calling out, wait a sec. Lord Ian... She looked at him intently and asked, are you going to come visit again? Deep down, she felt a bit sad, thinking, such a bummer. I want to see him more. Hearing that Landros gently kissed Tia's hand, he said sweetly, Yeah. Next time I come visit, I'll make sure your brother isn't home. Wait for me, okay? Next time, I'll definitely bring an even more dope gift. Tia blushed deeply. The hand that was kissed went limp. Her eyes spun like pinwheels as she fell backward, making Ferdy gasp his eyes wide as he rushed to catch her. By now, the sky had faded into sunset. Ludian hurriedly ran to the main hall. What took you so long? That guy didn't pull any weird stunts with Tia, did he? What? Ferdy helplessly replied, actually, he did. Hearing that, Ludian gasped, his head popping off like a startled cat as he screamed, what he did? Ferdy suddenly turned to Tia, scolding her, I told you to say no. Tia replied gloomily, yes, but inside she felt annoyed. I don't really like this, but... Ferdy's expression changed to a serious one. That's right, this is about Asterion's honor, whether she's the real deal or not. She is still the youngest of Asterion. Of course we have to maintain our honor. He seriously told Ludian. From now on, we have to do whatever it takes to stop that guy from seeing Tia. Hearing that, Ludian replied, got it. The two of them gave off a determined, fiery aura. Tia stood to the side, feeling helpless as she thought, but I really want to see him. In the main hall, Cassia said, you mean the paternity test results? Ferdy replied, that's right. It's been a hot minute, and we still haven't received any results. Hearing this, Cassius picked up his teacup and deduced, true. Usually this means bad news is coming. It was supposed to be delivered within a week. He said, it is pretty sketchy. Seeing that Ludian also chimed in, just counting, the annual donations Asterion makes to the tower, it already far exceeds the entire national budget. There's no way they'd drop the ball like this. His expression changed as he frowned, thinking, could Nathan be meddling with the tower's affairs? To try and stop her from officially joining Asterion, so they can snatch her back. And Alpheus, Evan, sitting in the corner, finally spoke up to cut the tension. We helped the tower with the renovations. Soon, we will throw a party to officially introduce her to the whole empire. Hearing that, Ludian laughed, finding it interesting, and said, damn, that sounds dope. Once the announcement drops, you're gonna get a mountain of gifts. Just watch. Yes, Ferdy added. You'll definitely be invited to a ton of parties too. Just wait and see. Tia sat there, still confused, and asked, parties? Her brother immediately explained to her, that's right, or you could invite kids your age over to the mansion to host a tea party. Hearing that, Tia got anxious. I don't think I'm really cut out for that kind of stuff. Suddenly, Ferdy noticed Tia's expression and thought in confusion, aren't most other girls super hyped about this kind of thing? He set his teacup down to lighten the mood. Looks like my little sister is still a bit shy, huh? Even if she opens up to everyone, it's still gonna be tough for her to fit in with high society. Cassia, hearing that, gently patted Tia's shoulder and said sweetly, it's okay, Tia. If you're not comfortable, we can totally push back the announcement. You don't have to meet any strangers. You're still young. If you don't like it, just say the word. If you're not vibing with it, just say, just say no. No one is going to scold you. Tia felt like a weight was lifted off her shoulders. She replied, yes. After the meal, Ludian threw his hands up and joked with Tia. Haha, I finally got the green light to get close to you. Tia covered her mouth, giggling adorably. You two are so sweet, Ludian brightly replied. Duh, of course. Then Ludian winked, pointed at himself, and confidently declared, to celebrate, your big bro is gonna give you a piggyback ride. Just hop on my back, and we'll take a tour around the mansion. How about it? Sounds fun, right? Suddenly, a hand smacked Ludian on the head with a book. Fun my foot! Stop talking nonsense. Ferdy sat in the chair, patted it, and called Tia, come here. Let me read you a story. Hearing that, Tia gasped, her eyes lighting up. Reading a story. I love stories about mystical places, delicious foods, an endless sleep in a hidden palace, and going on epic adventures. I loved fairy tales. When I was at Nathan, I could only eavesdrop on stories from outside, Loa's room. But here Dia reads to me every day. Ferdy saw Tia obediently come over and sit down. He smirked and teased Ludian. See, Tia would rather read a book. Ludian helplessly pouted and thought to himself, why is she suddenly so freaking cute? Even though he's keeping his guard up, Ferdy is acting really friendly. Ferdy opened the book and began to read. Deep in a forest, there was a giant lion with mystical powers. Suddenly, Ludian slammed his hand on the book and said, seeing this in real life is way cooler than some words Ferdy, confused, called out, what the, Ludian? What are you trying to do? But Ludian didn't listen. Watch this. Then he conjured a tiger in the palm of his hand, wreathed in flames. He smiled confidently and said to Tia, how about that pretty dope, right? Here, Ferdy asked again in confusion, what are you trying to pull inside the house? What if you scare her? But contrary to being scared, Tia gasped, jumped up, and exclaimed, that's awesome. But suddenly, Ferdy's sweat dropped. Tia said happily and excitedly, I want to be able to use powers just like you. Big bro, it's so cool. Suddenly, Ludian pouted in confusion. Huh, can't you already use your own powers? Ferdy was also puzzled and asked, that's right. It's not something you have to learn. It just comes naturally. Hearing that, Tia replied sadly, really? But it seems like I'm not very good at controlling it. But Ferdy reasoned seriously. Isn't the power of light in the legend supposed to be some god-tier ability? She has it, but can't even control it. Is it really the power of light? Ludian confusedly ran a hand through his hair and replied nonchalantly, that's super weird. even when it comes to how to use it. It's literally instinct for us to know. Suddenly, Tia got sad tears welling up in her eyes. Seeing that Ludian panicked and tried to comfort her. Tia, are you crying? Wait, why are you crying? Ferdy crouched down gently, telling her, knock it off, Ludian. Tia, do you want to learn how to control your powers? Tia rubbed her eyes, then opened them wide, sparkling, and replied, yes, I really want to learn. Yes. After Ferdy got his answer, he smiled brightly and replied, all right then. Let's go over some basic training real quick. I can teach you right around here. I know a spot with plenty of space. He thought to himself, perfect. This is a great chance to witness the power of light. And if it turns out to be fake, night gradually fell over the quiet mansion. The three of them walked softly, whispering to each other. This spot is sick. Is it really okay to come here this late at night? It's fine, I already gave Dia a heads up. Earlier, Ferdy had made an excuse to Dia. We're just going out to train for a bit. Dia was startled and asked in confusion, huh, at this hour? All right. Ferdy stopped, raised his hands, and closed his eyes. All right, Tia, watch closely. When you use your power, you need to visualize it in your head. Tia replied cluelessly, visualize it. Then he conjured a fireball that appeared, engulfing the whole area where he stood. Ferdy spoke up, that's right. Visualize the scene of you using your power. Tia looked at this scene, her jaw dropping in awe. Ferdy instructed, imagine. You have to imagine exactly what you want to do. As soon as he finished speaking, the flames engulfed the entire area, flaring up massively. The fire grew stronger and stronger, the wind howling. Ludian panicked and tried to stop him. Wait a sec, Ferdy. The fire is getting too big. What are you doing? But Ferdy couldn't hear him. He radiated an intense swirling fire that made Tia and Ludian cover their faces from the intense heat. Ludian called out to Ferdy. Ludian yelled helplessly, this is freaking crazy. Tia worriedly gripped his arm. Something's wrong with Ferdy. Ludian yelled in fear. Stop it, bro. Tia's gonna get hurt. Finally, Ferdy heard him and replied nonchalantly, oh, right. I just wanted to teach Tia how to use her power. He said that, but his power kept flaring up non-stop. Seeing that Ludian could only scream in desperation. Damn it, bro. We're seriously screwed this time. Yes. He quickly ran off, not forgetting to tell Tia. Stay right there. If you move, you're gonna get hurt. Tia obediently replied, okay. Ludian summoned a flaming sword. He reasoned, Ferdy's temper is usually pretty bad, but he's never lost control like this before. This is bad. Then he jumped in and yelled, snap out of it, Ferdy. Tia was terrified, covering her face with her hands. Brother. But things didn't get better. The fire only raged stronger. Ludian was blown back and fell to the ground. Crap, it's getting worse. On this side, Ferdy said nothing. She watched anxious and thought to herself, it's because of me. Because I said I wanted to learn how to use my power. What should I do? If only I could turn back time like before. Suddenly, an unknown voice spoke up, startling Tia. Jump in, kiddo. You're the only one who can save him. Tia didn't understand. She turned around and asked, who's there? That voice echoed once again. Only your light can save him. Hearing that, Tia froze on the spot. After a moment of hesitation, she immediately jumped into the massive raging fire. Ludian nearby saw this and yelled anxiously, Tia! What the hell are you doing? It's super dangerous. Get back here. Ferdy regained a little bit of sanity at this point. He said, Tia, don't come closer. But that voice kept urging Tia on. You won't get hurt. She ran panting heavily, recalling her memories of her two brothers. She stayed determined. Brother, even if you have your guard up against me, you've still been so nice to me. Because you're a good person, you won't hurt me. Seeing Tia running towards him, Ferdy gasped, his eyes wide open. He gritted his teeth and weakly called out to Tia. Even so, Tia didn't stop running right up to his side. Her two tiny arms reached out and lunged forward to hug Ferdy. She held him tightly with determination. I can do this. Just do it like back in the basement. With this light, I can save him. As soon as she finished speaking, a golden light instantly appeared. Two light fishes floated above their heads, wiping out the flames entirely. Ludian frowned, his eyes wide open in disbelief. What is this? Could it be that Tia really... But that light kept shining endlessly. The two light fishes floated above them. At this moment, Ferdy slowly regained his senses. But right then, Tia, having burned through too much of her power, passed out. Ferdy immediately rushed to catch her, desperately calling out in panic. Tia, wake up, Tia. Scene transition. In a golden room, someone's voice echoed. Cassius closed his eyes, pinching the bridge of his nose in frustration. Now explain everything to me. Ludian, his face bandaged up, replied. Ferdy suddenly lost control, causing him to release way too much mana. And then this happened. Ferdy added. Ludian tried to stop me and got hurt, and Tia held me back. Deep down, Ferdy reflected. I think I know why I lost control. When I recalled an immense power fueled by rage. A power that I had never unleashed to that extent before. After Tia showed up, this energy became even more pent up. He turned to look at Tia, blaming himself. I hurt a kid over something like this, but she still threw herself in to stop me regardless. The truth is, whether Tia is really my sister or not, I hate myself for doubting the power of light. Because I was scared of that so-called lost legendary power, I kept my guard up against her, and yet she still trusted me, even though I only showed her the bare minimum of kindness. Cassius knew exactly what his son was thinking, so he called his name to snap him out of it. Ferdy. Hearing his father, Ferdy immediately took the blame. It's my fault. Seeing this, Ludian immediately cut in. Father, it wasn't Ferdy's fault. He didn't even use half of his power. Cassius looked at Tia, who was lying unconscious on the bed. He told his two sons, I get it. Let's put a pin in this for now. We need to check on Tia's condition first. He looked out the window, staying silent for a long time, deep in thought. I really should have put up a barrier around the training grounds. That light was so intense. It didn't just cover this area, it enveloped the whole mansion. It definitely caught the attention of the tower and the royal family. It seems the legends were true. He stepped closer. Tia, this kid is carrying way too heavy of a burden on her shoulders. Cassius gave an order to the butler. Patton, contact the tower first thing tomorrow morning to get the paternity test results. Patton replied, Yes, sir. Cassius frowned, feeling frustrated. Before anyone else finds out, I have to protect Tia under the name of Asterion as soon as possible. Outside the mansion, the morning was fresh. Inside the room, Dia reached out to help Tia up, asking, Are you okay, my lady? Does it hurt anywhere? Tia immediately replied, I'm fine. What about Ferdy? He looked like he was in real danger yesterday. Hearing that, Dia replied, The young master. He stayed right by your side until morning. Tia was shocked and amazed. Until morning. A few minutes later, Tia peeked out into the main hall. Seeing her, Ferdy and Ludian immediately called out to her, Tia, are you okay? Tia anxiously replied, I'm fine. What about you guys? Ferdy, looking heartbroken, gently touched Tia's cheek. Tia, at times like this, you need to worry about yourself first. Ludian stood there, his face bandaged. He crossed his arms and sighed. Seriously? Do you have any idea how freaked out we were? You're so tiny and fragile. What if you got seriously hurt? Tia looked down anxiously. I'm sorry. Seeing that, Ferdy immediately turned and warned Ludian, watch your tone. Ludian wasn't backing down. He flared up in anger, yelling to defend himself. What did I say wrong? You're totally taking shots at me right now. Suddenly, Tia noticed Ferdy's trembling arm. She gently grabbed his hand and said sweetly, I won't do that again next time. Ludian looked at them and sighed. Fine. I'll let it slide this time. Seeing her sweet gesture, Ferdy was moved and hugged Tia. He said softly, Tia, seriously, please don't ever do that again. Tia hugged him back and happily replied, okay. Ludian also joined in giving Tia head pats, but suddenly a voice spoke up, catching all three of their attention. Cassius, wearing a sharp red suit, walked over looking totally badass. He called out, Tia, there's somewhere we need to go. Hearing that, Tia nodded and replied. Outside the window, the wind blew non-stop. Cassius advised, Ferdy was in a very dangerous state. If you were just a normal kid, you would have died. It was seriously dangerous, Tia replied anxiously. But suddenly he turned around and said warmly, but thank you for saving Ferdy. He crouched down, patted Tia's head, and gently said, I don't plan on punishing you. I was just worried about you, because I'm your father. I want you to become a kid who can take good care of herself. Don't do that again, okay? Tia replied, moved. Yes, father. He smiled warmly, then took Tia's hand. As they walked, he praised her. Good girl. That's my daughter. After walking a bit, Alpheus Evan appeared up ahead. She excitedly called out, Grandpa! Alpheus Evan happily opened his arms wide. Ah, there you are. He rushed over, excitedly wanting to pick her up. Are you okay? I dropped by earlier, but you were sleeping, so I left. Tia replied, Yes, father and my brothers took really good care of me. Hearing that, he looked at Cassius questioningly. Her father just gave him a finger heart. Alpheus Evan turned around completely thrilled. All right, that's great. I assume Cassius has already explained everything to you, right? Now let's head out for a bit, shall we? Hearing that, Tia nodded and awkwardly followed him. A bookshelf caught her eye. What a beautiful bookshelf. Seeing Tia looking so interested, Alpheus Evan realized something. Looks like you've never been here before, huh? Then he picked Tia up and pointed at a red book. He said, Here, touch this red book right in front of you. Hearing that, she immediately pressed on the book. A loud noise echoed, startling Tia. The bookshelf popped open, thick smoke billowing out. Tia was confused. There's a secret room behind it. Alpheus Evan set her down, smiling as he explained to Tia. This is a secret room that only the heads of Asterion know about. The door can only be opened by someone with Asterion blood. Tia was amazed, feeling like her world just lit up. Only someone with Asterion blood. Alpheus Evan smiled. No need for any paternity test anymore. Let's go. Let's head inside. Inside was a massive courtyard. Alpheus Evan introduced it. This is a space passed down through the family of Asterion for generations. The room that bears witness to the legend of the power of light. Alpheus Evan pointed to the other side and called, Tia, come over here. Tia obediently walked up. Suddenly, something made Tia stop in her tracks. Unexpectedly, a light appeared from her hand and spread out. Tia wondered, The light is radiating on its own. Alpheus, Evan, and Cassius were in awe. Even though the light is super bright, it doesn't hurt my eyes at all. Yeah, it truly is the legendary power. Suddenly, squiggly letters started appearing. A gorgeous light enveloped the entire space. Tia thought in awe. Something is appearing on the wall. Cassius stood there and exclaimed, "These are the ancient texts passed down by our ancestors." A voice echoed through the courtyard. "When darkness fades and light envelops this world, Asterion and Nathan will regain their true power. The existence of light will prevent the darkness from returning." Alpheus, Evan was amazed. Prevent the darkness. Could it mean that the light can stop the rage? Tia didn't understand and repeated the rage. Cassius heard her turn around and explain, "You saw Ferdy's condition yesterday, right?" He explained, "That is the curse, passed down through generations of those with the blood of Asterion and Nathan. If they overuse their powers, it goes completely out of control. Ferdy is at least still very young, so it wasn't enough to kill him. But for an adult, rage can be so massive that it destroys everything around them until it destroys the user's own body. Until now, no one has been able to stop it, except the person standing right in front of me." Hearing that, Tia felt super happy and thought, "I can stop the curse of Asterion. Everyone here needs me. I really am an Asterion." Yes. But in contrast to Tia's happiness, Cassius remained silent, deep in thought about something. A few hours later, Alpheus, Evan, and Tia walked out. He told her, "If you ever want to come back in the future, feel free to do so." Tia replied anxiously, "Yes, but this place is only for the family head." He smiled sweetly and told Tia, "It used to be a secret room, but now it's a room for the one who possesses the power of light. In other words, it's your room now. You can come in whenever you want." Hearing that, Tia brightened up instantly. Yes. Then she quickly ran outside the door. Ludian was standing nearby. Alpheus, Evan patted Cassius on the shoulder. "All right, Cassius, we can protect this place. Obviously, we won't let the higher-ups lay a finger on her, not even a single finger." Alpheus, Evan turned to look out the window. "Very good." Then, holding a stack of letters, he continued, "I heard these are letters from the royal family and the tower." That was fast, and yet the paternity test results haven't arrived all week. He held the paper in his hand, sighing. Well, consider it a surprise. They're saying a bizarre light was radiating from the Asterion mansion. A light and images of fishes swimming freely in the sky. Could it be the legendary power of light? The whole empire must be totally shook right now, and the loudest place is definitely the tower. Cassius asked about the contents of the tower's letter. "What does it say?" Alpheus. Evan held the paper and replied, "They say the test results are out and they need to contact Tia." In the living room, the two discussed with each other. Just sending a letter with the results would be enough. Why do they need to meet her? They definitely know Tia is the one with the power of light. "If you guys are trying to pull something, we will step in to shut it down. If we go to the tower, they say we'll get support." What an opportunity. Guess I should get ready, huh? Meanwhile, time flew by quickly. Tia put a bite in her mouth and couldn't help but exclaim, "Nom nom. It's so good. So freaking good." Ferdy watched Tia praising the food, resting his cheek on his hand. "It's good, right? I'll order some more for you, okay?" Dia brought water over and chimed in to liven things up. No way she still has to eat dinner later. You can only have one slice. Hearing that, Tia looked at the cake sadly. Ludian, seeing this happily, offered her his own cake. "Here, you can have mine. I saved it just for you. You like that." Ferdy frowned when he heard Ludian's words. "Ludian, that's not what Dia meant, you idiot." Tia watched the two bickering back and forth, feeling helpless. Suddenly, she held a spoonful up in front of Ludian. "You should try it. It's super delicious. I only need a little bit." This gesture made Ludian blush. He pointed at himself to confirm. "Tia, are you really giving it to me?" Seeing this, Ferdy immediately seized the chance. "Tia, what about me?" Tia quickly panicked, wanting to give Ferdy some too. You should try some too." Even though he got what he wanted, he still teased Tia. "Isn't my piece smaller?" While the three were chatting, the door cracked open. Cassius walked in and said, "I told you two to stop teasing your sister." "Ferdy?" Ludian. Hearing that, the three replied, "We're not. Yeah, we're just sharing cake." "Yes." Cassius looked at this scene and secretly felt happy. "Looks like I don't need to worry about her anymore." He called Tia. "Tia, make sure you get some good rest. We have business to take care of tomorrow." Ludian was confused and asked his father, "Where are you taking Tia, father?" He replied, "The paternity test results are in." Cassius smiled to reassure her. "Don't worry, Tia. I'll go with you." Tia nodded in agreement, reassuring herself too. "It's gonna be okay. The room meant only for Asterion accepted me. There's nothing to be scared of." Suddenly, Ferdy raised his hand and stated, "I'm going with you too." Then Ludian jumped up, whining playfully, "Me too." What if someone tries to snatch Tia away? The more people, the easier it is to protect her. Tia widened her eyes, looking at her two brothers, their spirits shining brightly. Cassius covered his mouth, laughing happily. "Let's hope the tower accepts this." The next day, a brown-haired maid holding two combs said cheerfully, "This hairstyle suits you perfectly. How about adding a ribbon?" Seeing that the other maid suggested, "I think keeping it simple is the best way to go. She is going to the tower after all." Tia sat in the middle, feeling anxious. The two behind her discussed with each other. "If we tie it up into two little buns on the sides, I bet she'd look super cute." "You're right, definitely." Dia stood in the middle, helping her silently resolve it. "Since this is is the first time she's leaving Asterion. We have to make sure she stands out the most. A moment later, she was all glammed up. Dia cheerfully asked Tia, "How does this look? My lady, do you like it?" Hearing that, Tia looked in the mirror and gasped in awe. Wow. Seeing that, Dia gently and kindly said, "You look gorgeous. Compared to all the ladies your age, no one is as pretty as you." Me. Tia remembered her past when she was still with the Nathan family. If I was at Nathan, all I would hear is that I'm scrawny and ugly. But here, it feels like I'm alive again. Tia happily and gratefully said with a thankful heart, "Thank you, Dia and everyone, for making me look so pretty." Hearing that, the other three instantly had their hearts melted, exclaiming, "An actual angel is right here. We will follow you forever." By now, Tia had gone outside. She lifted her dress slightly with both hands and called. Brothers ahead were the two of them, Ferdy and Ludian, looking sharp and dashing. "Tia, you look gorgeous today." "Well, you always look gorgeous, but now you look just like a doll." Hearing that, she immediately returned the compliment. "You both look super handsome too." Ludian, hearing this, rubbed his hands together. "Is that so, since we're all dressed up?" But suddenly he stopped, his hands trembling. Tia sparkled, not understanding Ludian's action. It was because he didn't dare to pat her head for fear of messing up her hair. Then Ferdy turned, looking at someone, and said, "Let's go now. Father is waiting for us." It turned out to be Cassius. He stepped out of the carriage, looking dapper, radiating an imposing aura. A few hours later, at a massive mansion, a voice exclaimed, "We've arrived at the tower." Cassius called Tia. She noticed and replied, "Tia, yes." It turned out Cassius wanted to carry her. He picked her up, taking Tia by surprise. Seeing this, Ferdy and Ludian were amazed. Ferdy was confused. Is father planning to carry her in like that? But Cassius frowned and said, "Even though we've prepared thoroughly, we don't know what these people at the tower are planning to do." Hearing this, Ferdy also frowned and thought, he's right. They're definitely going to try and get the upper hand and take hold of her power. After what happened, they definitely want to claim her for themselves. Tia rested in her father's arm, but she was secretly anxious. Everyone is on edge. What if strangers really try to take me away? But she was determined. "Just do as my brothers taught me. Just say no. If they insist, I'll say it loud and clear." Inside, a priest stepped out to welcome them. "Lord Cassius, you're here. I'm sorry for forcing you to come here." Introducing him, Priest Andres. He approached, making Tia shrink back in fear. "The Holy Pope requested that you come in person to confirm this." So this is the child." Tia widened her eyes, glowing slightly as she stuttered a greeting. "Hello?" Even so, in her mind, she was thinking, right now, should I just yell no? Right now? Cassius noticed and immediately stepped in. "She's very shy. I hope we can skip the pleasantries and just get right to the results, yeah." Hearing that, Andres gasped in surprise. He excitedly squinted and said, "Ho ho, then let's get the results right away." Suddenly, Cassius narrowed his eyes and said seriously, "I'm going to take her outside for a bit, so hold on a sec." Seeing that, the priest stopped him with a sly look on his face. "No need, the little girl can stay." Then he threw something into the water. The atmosphere became tense. Speaking of why water is used for the test, it's because the paternity test at the tower is very simple. Very simple. You just take holy water imbued with God's power into a basin and add the hair of the father and the child. If the water turns blue, it means the two are father and child. If not, then they aren't. He smiled slyly and said with a hidden meaning, "Oh my." The water didn't change color. Seeing that, Cassius's eyes widened in shock. He reasoned, so this is why they wanted to bring Tia here. They wanted to fake the results to shock the kid and then strip away custody, taking her away from her father. He continued, and the two other priests were preparing to do something. "I believe you understand the results clearly. Without any further explanation, since the girl doesn't share a bloodline with you, the child has nowhere to go." He raised his hand. "Now hand her over." But Ludian had already stepped up, blocking his view. "Back off." He kept talking while Ferdy stood guard, looking a bit worried. "Unfortunately, after all, that is the result. Don't worry, we'll take good care of her." Listening to the conversation all this time, she turned around and spoke up in a cute voice. "Excuse me, are you saying I'm not Lord Cassius's daughter? That's weird, that's impossible." Hearing that, Andres and another priest gasped in shock. Tia turned to look at Cassius. She said, "Please put me down." Hearing that, he was startled, but replied, "Okay." Andres wiped the sweat from his forehead. Seems like the little girl is too young to understand. Why would she challenge God? Seeing this, Cassius immediately frowned in anger and warned him, "Watch your mouth, Andres. She's the heir of Asterion." Hearing that, he turned pale with fear. "No, I already said that girl doesn't share your bloodline, didn't I?" What makes him so confident? The priest, seeing this, started panicking. "Lord Cassius, are you trying to go against God? This is clearly blasphemy. The tests here have never been wrong." Then Tia spoke up firmly, declaring to them, "Well, then it's wrong now." He glared at Tia in anger, thinking, so freaking foolish. Damn it. This is exactly why I was against this plan. There's no way an Asterion would fall for this petty trick. We thought the kid was fragile, that just a little push would break her. But now she's completely unfazed. Then Tia plucked a strand of her own hair. Andres kept going. "It's true the child of light is real. The power of light radiating from this kid is unmistakable. I can feel it. This is like the power of light from Lucifer himself. Doing this really... Suddenly, Tia turned and said to Cassius, "Father, give me a little bit of your hair." Seeing this, he smiled and agreed. Then he gave her some of his hair. Tia took it. "Thank you, Father." Tia quickly ran over. That guy, Andres, sweated and called out, "Wait a sec." She turned her head and declared to the priest, "Priests, I am a snow leopard with the amber eyes of a black panther. It makes 0 sense for me not to have Asterion blood." She walked over to the basin and dropped the hair in. She thought, "I am my father and mother's child. Asterion has accepted me. I'm not scared." Seeing that those people were stunned, Andre smiled slyly. "This is going even better than I thought. Because this isn't holy water. There's no way it's going to change color. I just need to pretend to be confused, step forward to confirm it, and this will serve as proof." But suddenly, the spot where Tia dropped the hair started glowing. Then, the entire basin of water turned a golden yellow. Those priests panicked. "What is this?" The water turned yellow. Cassius's eyes widened in shock. This isn't a test anymore. But the tower resonating with Tia, the power of Lucas, the guardian of this place, is guiding Tia with his power. Those priests immediately started yelling at Andres. "But it's not blue, right? This result is invalid because it wasn't done according to the Pope's order." He tried to justify it. That's right. The water has to turn blue to be valid. If there's any mistake, being alone isn't reliable. But suddenly, a familiar voice spoke up. "So you just need the procedure, right?" It turned out to be Landros. He walked in confidently. A priest behind him chased after him, calling, "Crown Prince." "You can't go in there." He replied, "Why not?" "Before I am crowned. The Holy Pope gave me a directive about becoming the head." "Did you forget?" Seeing this, Andres frowned in fear. "Crap, did the Crown Prince see everything just now? I thought he was never gonna come back to this place again." Landros looked at Tia. Seeing him, she called out, "Lon." He smiled confidently and declared, "Well then, let's do it again." You place your hand upon the lake's surface. 2 goldfish suddenly appear in your palm. With just a simple gesture from Landro, the water where you stand turns crystal blue. You speak up. "Now you can accept this outcome, Andres." Seeing this, he gnashes his teeth in sheer terror. Landros looks at him with a majestic gaze. "Now you can finally accept the truth. Andres Tiel truly carries the Asterion bloodline. She is indeed the daughter of Marquis Cassius Celeste." Overwhelmed, Tiel calls out to Ian. She runs toward him with pure excitement. "Thank you, Ian." Ian rose, acting as cool and detached as ever, replied, "Why are you thanking me? This was a given. There's no need for such gratitude." Tiel clenches her hands full of appreciation. "No, you're always helping me, my lord. When I'm a bit older, I'll definitely find a way to repay you, Ian." Witnessing this, Landros thinks to himself, "Since the last time I saw this kid, she really has changed." Before even a tiny gif would make her flustered. He smirks inwardly. "Fine then." He kneels down and cups her face with both hands. "I guess I should start thinking about how you'll pay me back." Seeing that Rudian frowns in anger. This guy... Cassius stands there struggling to keep his cool. "Rudian!" But suddenly, Rudian cries out in distress. "Ah, that hurts, Dad." Ferdy standing nearby can see that. Cassius is absolutely fuming with rage. He breaks out in a cold sweat and says, "Father, please, you need to calm down too." As if suddenly snapping out of it, Ian looks down. It seems there's been a bit of a misunderstanding here. Andres... Hearing that, he immediately waves his hands. "That's exactly what I was going to say. How could this have happened? We've never seen a case like this before." Seeing Cassius walk away, he panics. "We are truly sorry. If there is anything we can do to make it up to you..." Cassius replies instantly, "No need." Cassius walks over to Tiel. He reaches out his hand with a warm smile. "It's all over now. Let's go, Tiel. Let's go home." "Yes," Tiel says, reaching for his hand in response. "Home. My home. The place I cherish. My real family. Asterion. Yes, let's go home." The scene shifts to a different setting. A luxurious carriage is moving. Ian Rose looks out the window and thinks to himself, "Out of habit, I instinctively accepted Duke Evan's words. It's like second nature. I even lost track of time." "Tiel, you're really growing up bit by bit." He remembers back then. She looked like she'd burst into tears at the slightest touch. "I thought you'd be terrified, yet you stood up so strong. You've truly grown. And you've gotten cuter too." Landros suddenly smiles. Cedric, standing nearby, has a gloomy look on his face. "Your Highness, the Emperor is displeased with your sudden absence. You were scheduled to meet him today. Leaving so abruptly like this is a bit..." Ian Rose replies, "I know. He's just gonna nag me again for doing whatever I want. It's the same every time. I'm sick to death of it." Cedric says, "You shouldn't say that, Crown Prince." Landros crosses his arms and leans back with a sigh. Then how should I put it? At this moment, Landros' gaze sharpens as he thinks of the Emperor. After what his grandfather did to him, I will never forgive him. I'll never forget the moment the entire palace was engulfed in flames. The day my parents died at the hands of the Emperor. The power to create space. It is the unique power representing the imperial bloodline, and it is incredibly difficult to control. It's even extremely dangerous if it spirals out of control. That's why when I was 8, the Emperor pointed his sword at me before I could lose control. My parents, the only princess and prince of the empire, threw themselves in front of that blade to save me. Because of their death, I became the last surviving soul of the royal blood. And eventually after that incident, I became the crown prince. Enro snaps out of his reminiscence. He clenches his fist and grinds his teeth in frustration. They say I need to find a partner to share this power. Someone who must burn away their own strength to suppress my instability. An innocent person, bound to me for life under the title of companion. Someone having to lose their life for me? It's horrific. Outside the imperial palace, the emperor stands yards away shouting at him. I told you to find a partner immediately, so you can shoulder that power together. Are you really not even going to try? Ian Rose only offers a brief response. I apologize. The emperor continues his tirade. One day, your power will grow so immense that you won't be able to control it yourself. What do you plan to do if that happens, huh? Ian Rose. His name is Graham Durant, Emperor of the Grayson Empire. Get out of my sight. I don't want to see your face anymore. Hearing those stinging words, Landros just remained silent. In the hallway outside, after the tense encounter, Landros steps through the door. His eyes wander upward as he stays quiet. He creates a spatial gateway and steps inside. Inside the dark void-like space, he thinks to himself, I have a feeling that I can create an even larger space than when I was a child. But now I can't even remember. The home where I lived with my parents. The mansion that partially burned down. Landros walks on deep in thought. It would be better if I could light a fire here. But why? This is a space I created myself. Yet I can't even light a single candle. Still, this is the only place no one else can enter. The only place I can truly rest. Suddenly, he notices the pink pillow lying there glowing. Landros, confused, picks it up. What's this, a body pillow? How did something like this get here? I didn't bring this in. He brings it to his nose and sniffs. This scent. An image of Tiel pops into his head. Ian Rose clutches the pillow. Did you seriously sneak this in here, Tiel? The next day in the capital, people begin to gossip. The youngest daughter of the Asterion house has returned from the dead. The legend of the power of light was true. After the announcement of Tiel's appearance, the emperor has started keeping a close eye on her. Though her face hasn't been officially revealed yet, everyone knows about her signature silver hair and unique eye color. All eyes are on Tiel. As Cassius holds a letter in his hand, he said, I knew this was going to happen sooner or later. Tiel looks at the table piled high with letters. She gasps in shock. What is all this? Cassius replies, these are gifts for you. Hearing that, her eyes go wide. For me? Cassius closes his eyes and continues, that's right. If you don't like it, you don't even have to pay them any mind. Ferdy is also there, picking up a letter and opening it. There's so much useless junk here. Seeing this, Rudian excitedly carries a handful of invitations to the fireplace. Let's just burn them all! Tiel panics, breaking a sweat. Is it really okay to burn everything? Cassius strokes his chin thoughtfully. Well, getting some new dresses wouldn't hurt. Something to wear to parties. Hearing this, Tiel looks up a letter still in hand and asks, dresses. Don't I already have plenty? Rudian suddenly leans in and says, but you need new outfits for every season. Fashion houses are always changing trends. Rudian and Ferdy keep tossing the letters aside playfully. In the meantime, throw all that stuff Ian gave you into a corner. Ferdy adds, now that's a great idea. Suddenly, Cassius's expression darkens as he reads a letter. Still, we should call Oliver over more often. After all, girls your age still need the finer things. Rudian flinches and freezes at the name. Oliver, for real, Dad? Ferdy is just as shocked. We can buy our own stuff without needing... Seeing his two sons so worked up, Cassius explains, a man's fashion sense has its limits. Introducing Oliver would be better. Tiel, holding the letter, asks, who is Oliver? Cassius replies, she's your relative, a girl who... An image flashes through Tiel's mind. A girl. Could it be Logan? She'll probably be different from the people at Nessian, but... Ferdy steps forward and gently pats Tiel's head. If you're shy around strangers, you don't have to meet her. Rudian isn't about to lose. He puts his hands on his hips and declares brightly, exactly, it's better to hang with us than some random relative. Ferdy retorts, our sister. If she goes with you, you'll end up buying her literal trash. Just watch. And so because they can't agree on anything, Rudian and Ferdy start scuffling again. Tiel stands to the side, sweating as she tries to stop them. Please don't fight. Cassius, holding a letter from the mountain of mail, remembers. Come to think of it, I heard the Crown Prince's birthday banquet has been postponed. Hearing him mention Landro, Tiel looks up. Ian's birthday. Cassius replies, yeah. Tiel remembers her time at Nessian and thinks, Grandpa and Auntie must have prepped for this party way early, even before getting the invite, making dresses for a whole month and still so busy. She sighs and rests her head on her hand. Royal banquets are usually so grand and spectacular. Why would they postpone it? Did something happen? Suddenly, Rudian excitedly remembers and calls out, Tiel! When is your birthday? I totally forgot to ask. Hearing this, Cassius and Ferdy freeze on the spot. Seeing their reaction, Rudian gets a bit confused. Why did the vibe suddenly get so... Ferdy looks at Rudian, who still doesn't get it, and reminds him. Rudian, think back. Rudian stands there pouting. Huh. What? Suddenly, Rudian flinches. Realizing his slip-up, he covers his mouth. Oh right, Tiel's birthday is the anniversary of Mom's passing. Rudian glances at Tiel, thinking to himself, she must be so sad. He awkwardly apologizes. Sorry, Tiel. I didn't mean to, it's just... Tiel touches her chin and replies, I actually don't know when my birthday is. Tiel says this with a calm, gentle tone that makes Cassius's eyes widen. Everyone always told me it was an unlucky day, so they never told me when it was. That it was a day not worth celebrating? She smiles warmly. But this is the first time anyone has ever asked me about it. I'm so happy. Even as she says that, her thoughts drift elsewhere. Even if it's because of him, or an unlucky day he cares enough to ask. Suddenly she remembers something. It's probably in the winter. Grandpa always gets really grumpy in the winter. Before she can finish her sentence, a hand reaches out and embraces Tiel's tiny figure. Cassius looks at her with heavy eyes. Tiel, what happened to Lena wasn't your fault. No one is asking you to take the blame for it. Hearing this, Tiel softly calls out, Dad. Cassius's sudden change in demeanor makes Tiel flinch and her eyes widen. He says, if Lena heard about this, she'd probably chop your grandfather in half. As he speaks, an image of an angry Lena flashes by, and she'd definitely chop me in half too, for letting you be treated that way. Hearing this, Tiel's head spins like a top. She thinks, chop in half? Would Mom really do that? Grandpa told me Mom hated me. Seeing Tiel like this, Cassius smiles gently and says, so don't make me explain this again, all right? I don't want to get chopped in half when I finally reunite with your mom. Tiel politely replies, yes, sir. Cassius, satisfied, strokes Tiel's head. That's my girl. Seeing this, Rudian and Ferdy also rush over and hug Tiel. She's my little sister too. Our Tiel, squeeze tight Tiel, laughs helplessly, though she literally can't breathe. A while later, Tiel excitedly runs over, holding her dress, calling out, Ian. Landros stands there, watching a panting Tiel run toward him. He puts his hands on his hips and scolds her. Don't run. What if you get hurt? Tiel replies, I'm just so happy to see you, that's all. She is buzzing with excitement. I'll be your tour guide today. Landros replies, all right. He looks at Tiel and breathes a sigh of relief. Seems like the kid is finally confident that this is her home. So totally different from the first time I brought her here. Suddenly, Tiel remembers something and stops, leaving him a bit puzzled. Oh, right, Ian. After a moment, he figures it out. He leans down to hear Tiel whisper in his ear. Did something change with you? I heard you postponed your birthday banquet. Landros casually straightens up and asks, why are you whispering so cautiously? Tiel squints her eyes and says awkwardly, well, I'm afraid someone might hear. Hearing that, Landros waves his hand, unable to hold back a laugh. You're overthinking it. What are you afraid of? Worried about me. Postponing the banquet was planned way in advance. Don't worry. Tiel looks downcast and says awkwardly, that's a bummer. Landros sighs and explains, I don't need any parties. To be honest, I don't need anyone celebrating for me. Suddenly, Tiel grips her dress and shyly suggests, then how about this? You spend your birthday at the mansion in Asterion, is that okay? With me and my brothers. Landros stares in shock at the blushing shy Tiel, absolutely stunned. Landros regains his composure and pats her head. Really, Tiel? Suddenly, Ferdy appears with a fierce glare interrupting. No. Hearing this, Landros turns his head and sees the two of them, Ferdy and Rudian, standing right there, glaring daggers. The two of them furiously shout in unison, not happening! Say no, Tiel, reject him. Tiel thinks helplessly to herself, but I was the one who suggested it. Ferdy and Rudian yell, take your hands off her right now, you creep. A few hours later, Landros is sitting in the living room, arms crossed, looking smug. I'm perfectly fine with spending my birthday at the Asterion estate. Ferdy sits there annoyed and cuts off. Landros. No, that's just a one-sided opinion, Your Highness. Why would you choose this place out of countless better options? And Landros smugly glances at Tiel. Because Tiel invited me. Tiel, sitting right there, stands up awkwardly. Her older brother opens his hand and advises Ferdy with a warm tone. Celebrating your birthday alone is really lonely, you know. If you knew it was your birthday and had to celebrate it all by yourself, you'd be heartbroken too. Hearing this, Landros widens his eyes in surprise. She doesn't know her own birthday. He stammers, calling her name. Tiel, kid. Suddenly, Rudian, sitting nearby, covers Landros' mouth, reminding him, that's a taboo word, dude. Who said you could say that? Landros swats his hand away, thinking in annoyance, don't touch me. I think I understand the situation now. Meanwhile, Ferdy pulls Tiel closer by the hand and lectures her. Ian isn't lonely. He is the crown prince. Even without us, he's surrounded by tons of people. Landros, sitting nearby, rests his chin on his hand and interrupts. No, I'm super lonely. I don't have any friends to celebrate my birthday with. Seeing this, Ferdy gets so mad, he's speechless. Landros pushes his luck. All right, I won't ask for much. Let's make a deal instead. Ferdy hears this and gets annoyed. A deal? And Landros immediately proposes. Didn't you say you'd find a dress designer for Tiel for a special occasion? I'll summon Madame Estella to help you out. Ferdy is startled and exclaims, Madame Estella? Tiel stands there confused, guessing to herself. Could it be? Ferdy remembers that Madame Estella is the designer for the royal family. Many nobles dream of wearing clothes designed by her. She is famous for only accepting orders from the royal family and high-ranking aristocrats, and exclusively makes outfits for them. Ferdy clasps his hands, analyzing anxiously. I heard even her age is a secret. A master designer. He asks again in disbelief to confirm. Are you serious about this? Landros sighs and casually confirms. Of course. What did you think? But Ferdy still can't believe it and asks, how can you be so sure that Estella will design for Tiel? She's never made anything but royal garments right. Hearing this, the servants whisper among themselves, Madame Estella is going to design clothes for our young lady. She's never made anything but royal garments right. Landros, sitting on the chair, replied, not exactly. Only the royal family and high-ranking nobles can even contact her. Hearing this, Ferdy and Rudian are stunned on the spot. He continues, so do we have a deal or not? The two brothers think to themselves, if it's a dress designed by Estella, no other noble could possibly own one. At the Luminaria banquet, Tiel will definitely be the center of attention. If we can get it just by giving Ian a few hours. A moment later, he stands up and bows respectfully. It is an honor to host the Crown Prince on your birthday. Asterion will surely prepare everything flawlessly. Landros hears this, rests his face on his hand, and smiles smugly. Thanks, Tiel. Seeing her brother agree, she happily cheers. Wow! Thank you, brother. Tiel happily walks over with a beaming smile. That's wonderful, isn't it, Your Highness? Landros is confused. Your Highness? Seeing this, she explains, everyone calls you the Crown Prince, so I thought I should start addressing you respectfully from now on. Hearing this, Landros shyly looks away. Just calling me Ian is fine. Tiel's eyes widen like saucers. Really? Landros replied, just call me Ian, or whatever makes you comfortable. But definitely no, Your Highness. Tiel answers dejectedly, yes, sir. Why is he suddenly acting like this? Not long after, outside the carriage, Ferdy speaks up. Come to think of it, the Crown Prince wanted to meet Tiel. Rudian flinches and stammers. What? Don't tell me. His frequent visits here lately. Don't tell me you're planning to make Tiel the Crown Princess. Seeing this, Landros gets annoyed. I don't mean that at all. Don't sweat it. We all know what being the Crown Princess entails. I have no intention of dumping such a terrible position on Tiel. He turns and continues. You two seem pretty curious, huh? Because she awakened the power of light. Hearing that, Rudian and Ferdy breathe a sigh of relief. Phew, nothing to worry about then. Suddenly, a voice calls out from behind, catching the brothers' attention. Ian, Tiel, holding a gift box, runs over, panting. Here, this cake is super yummy. I really wanted you to try it. Seeing this, Landros happily pats her head. Is this why you sneaked into the kitchen? Receiving the compliment, Tiel smiles brightly and replies, Yep. Landros, holding the gift, suddenly remembers something and asks, Oh, right. I have a question for you. There was a pink pillow in my spatial realm. I've never seen it there before. Is it yours? Tiel thinks awkwardly. The pillow, the one I slept on. Seeing her confusion, Landros quickly describes it. It has gold trim and a pink bow attached. At this, Tiel suddenly remembers and replies, Yes. She awkwardly thinks to herself, Come to think of it, was it really decorated like that? The scene shifts elsewhere to the royal palace. As the sun sets into dusk, a man in formal attire turns around with a serious look and says, Report Amphios. His name is Weham Durant Grayson. As Amphios Evans sits there sipping his tea, the child is still shy. Luminaria is coming up soon, and you will see them then. Weham Durant can't hold back and says, Do you know the legend between Asterion and Nessian? Suddenly, Amphios Evans slams his teacup down. That is merely a legend of our family, and it has nothing to do with the Crown Prince. Weham Durant reassures Amphios, I'm not saying what we must do about it, but Amphios Evan ignores him, his face dead serious. Your Majesty, have you forgotten? I am the one who knows exactly what happened that day. He recalls the past and recounts there is no certainty that we were the victims of that day, and there is no guarantee that it will happen again in the future. Suddenly, upon hearing this, Weham Durant bursts into anger and shouts, Amphios, how dare you? Amphios Evan doesn't back down. He furiously snaps back. Do you even realize what the hell you're saying? I will never put my granddaughter in danger. This leaves Weham Durant feeling helpless, resting his head in his hands. He softly reassures him. Calm down. Landros also said that he would never place a mark on your granddaughter. Hearing this, Amphios Evan finally calms down and lowers his head. I apologize. Now Weham Durant remembers the image of Landros happily smiling with Tiel. He confides, It's getting late anyway. It seems that boy has changed. He doesn't look as lonely as he used to. I suppose I have your granddaughter to thank for that. Even so, Amphios Evan brings it back to the main issue. Your Majesty, regarding that day, don't you want to know the truth? Hearing that, Weham Durant looks sadly out the window in silence, lost in deep thought. Back in the glamorous mansion, Ferdy and Rudian are chatting. I can't wait to see the dress designed by Madame Estella. You're gonna totally steal the spotlight at Luminaria Tiel. Suddenly, she turns her head in confusion and asks, but what exactly is Luminaria? Hearing this, Ferdy immediately explains. It's a festival dedicated to Lucid, the god of light. It's held once every 3 years. There are a ton of fun events there. The heirs from other noble families will be attending too. Tiel's eyes widen in shock. Heirs. Suddenly, the image of Logan and her mother flashes in Tiel's mind. She says with a hint of fear, Does that mean Auntie and Logan will be there too? Ferdy, confused, strokes his chin and thought, Logan Nessian, Isn't she? That 4-year-old kid who still clings to her nanny. Tiel clenches her fists anxiously, remembering those times. Grandpa might even come too. Do I really have to see them again? But I really want to go to the banquet. Ever since I was born, the first time I ever left that place was when I came to Asterion and then the tower last time. I am so curious about what I'll see out there in the world. Rudian sees how scared she is, so he steps forward and asks, "Are you scared of running into the Nessian family?" He smiles confidently and reassures Tiel, "Don't worry. If they dare come near you, I'll set them on fire." Ferdy hears this and chimes in. "Causing an accident there is highly disrespectful, Rudian." Then he continues seriously, "But torching their carriage is totally fine." Hearing this, Tiel panics even more. "Guys, please?" After bickering for a bit, they turn to Tiel with bright smiles. "Anyway, you've got your 2 big brothers right here. No one will dare mess with you. Right, plus Dad and Grandpa too." She feels a warm reassurance and thinks, "That's right, I'm at Asterion now. Grandpa can't do anything to me. My family will protect me." She covers her mouth, holding back a happy giggle. "I'm really looking forward to the banquet." The scene transitions elsewhere. The view opens up as someone mutters, "It's so hot." The voice continues, "Why is everything around me so big? Don't tell me." Suddenly, Tiel startles. It turns out she has transformed into her snow leopard cub form. Without even realizing it, she sits on the bed, tiny and helpless. Did I shift into my beast form? But why did this happen? This has never happened before. Then she tries everything to shift back into her human form. Before long, Tiel is so exhausted she can barely breathe. She complains inwardly, "I can't transform back. What do I do now? I can't even speak in this form." Then she notices a rope nearby. She starts climbing up the cord, but unfortunately, she slips and falls. Just then, Dia opens the door and peeks in. "My lady, did you call for me?" Dia is caught off guard, seeing Tiel as a leopard cub. She panics and cries out, "Oh my goodness, my lady." She quickly picks Tiel up and puts her on the bed, checking on her. "Are you okay? Why did you shift into this form? Is something making you uncomfortable?" Meanwhile, Tiel is on the verge of tears from frustration. Suddenly, Dia realizes, oh right, she can't speak in this form, can she? Don't tell me she's stuck and can't turn back. Understanding the issue, she reaches out to pick Tiel up again. Tiel is a little startled. "Are you all right? Should I go inform Lord Cassius?" But before Dia's hands can even reach her, Tiel jumps up and lets out a little roar. Holding Tiel in her arms, Dia happily says, "All right then, don't worry, I'll carry you there." But deep down, Dia is struggling to keep her composure. What do I do? She is just way too cute. They arrive at the main hall. When Cassius sees Tiel transformed into a snow leopard cub, he feels a surge of joy inside. Good heavens, how can someone be this adorable? But on the outside, he says something completely different. "Are you unable to control your transformation?" Lying helplessly on the table, unable to speak, she can only let out a few muffled squeaks. Seeing this, Cassius says, "I understand." He reaches out and pets Tiel, reassuring her. "It's probably because you're still young. Losing control of it is perfectly normal. This happens all the time. Usually you'll revert to normal after a day or two." Tiel, hearing that it could take up to 2 days, flinches in panic. "A day or two, I thought it'd be way faster." She slumps down, thinking about the temperature inside the mansion. With all this fur, it's way too hot in here. Dia mentioned that the residence of the Black Panther has the power of fire, so it's kept much warmer than other places. I was totally fine before shifting into this form though, but now I'm burning up. Suddenly, Cassius looks at the clock and exclaims, "Oh shoot, it's time for the meeting." Without another word, he scoops Tiel up. He gently says to her, "Come along with me, Tiel." An uncomfortable sweating Tiel whines inwardly. "It's too hot, Dad." Inside the study where the meeting is taking place, Cassius sits in the center and declares, "I'm late because a minor issue came up with my daughter. Let's begin the meeting." Hearing that, the 2 subordinates sitting across from him flush with sheer delight. "Oh my God, she is just too precious. My daughter is about her age too." Tiel lies completely flat while Cassius pets her head. "Dad's hand is way too warm, Dad. I'm literally melting." Suddenly, Amphios Evan is sitting in the corner, his face flushed, surrounded by floating hearts. He wonders to himself, is something wrong with me? What is going on? She's way too cute. I can't even handle it. Oh my God, I just want to squish her cheeks. After a while, he can't take it anymore. He announces today's meeting is adjourned. A few hours later, after the meeting, Amphios Evan rushes to the butler. He throws the door open and shouts frantically, "Get a painter in here immediately. I need this adorable image of my granddaughter painted right now." Hearing this, Tiel turns pale and thinks, painted. Amphios Evan approaches, making kissy faces at Cassius, who is holding Tiel. "Aw, my sweet granddaughter. Let Grandpa hold you for a bit." Suddenly, he snatches Tiel away, making her eyes go wide with shock. Seeing this, Cassius advises him, "She looks uncomfortable." Amphios Evan ignores him and retorts, "You've been holding her this whole time." Suddenly, it hits Tiel like a bolt of lightning. Her eyes widen and her face flushes. Gasp. Grandpa is even warmer than Dad. Seeing him lean in to kiss her, Tiel uses both paws to push his face away. Seeing this, Anfios Evan is heartbroken, his eyes welling up with tears. Did I do something wrong? I'm sorry. Even though she can't speak, Tiel awkwardly apologizes in her head. I'm sorry, but you're just way too hot, Grandpa. Realizing it looks bad, Tiel reluctantly gives him a hug. This brings Anfios Evan to tears of pure joy. Please forgive me. Cassius stands in the corner sighing helplessly. All right, Dad, hand her back to me now. Cassius takes Tiel back. Suddenly, loud footsteps approach, catching his attention. Ferdy and Rudion call out in unison, Father. The two continue together out front at the gates. And the Wolf Clan's carriage is here. Then Ferdy quickly asks, did you summon Oliver, Father? Cassius hears this and whispers no. I only informed her aunt about Tiel's situation. The two burst in, snatching Tiel from his arms, both blushing furiously. They each talk over one another. Ferdy says, so she just invited herself over. Rudion is annoyed. She always does whatever she wants. Meanwhile, Tiel's eyes are spinning in circles as she repeatedly thinks, it's so hot. The butler brings out a thread and dangles it in front of Anfios Evan. With one hand on his hip and the other stroking his chin, Anfios says, anyway, since she's here, she'll probably come to pay her respects. Try not to look too shocked. Just bring Tiel out and introduce her to Oliver. Hearing this, Tiel jolts awake, unable to believe her ears. She's gonna see me for the first time. Looking like this. An observant Ferdy notices and seriously suggests Tiel doesn't seem to like that idea. In that case then, before he can finish, a little girl bursts through the door, yelling at the top of her lungs, Uncle, her name is Oliver Gopgang. The three brothers see this little girl suddenly appear, and all three of them cringe, clinging tightly to one another. Oliver looks around and says, oh, everybody's here. Same old faces as usual? Then Oliver suddenly spots Tiel. Her face lights up with excitement. Is this my cousin? Tiel looks at this scene in absolute terror. Ferdy can't hold back and warns her. Oliver Tiel is shy, but unfortunately, Oliver only gets more excited and jumps up. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. So tiny, I'm Oliver Tiel. The two of them keep squabbling back and forth, making it impossible for the butler and Anfios Evan to concentrate. Can't I just take her with me in your dreams? Why not? I basically spent my entire childhood at Asterion too. Finally, because it's too noisy, Anfios Evan seriously announces, I'm currently selecting a painter, so you kids go play outside. I'm very busy right now. Hearing this, the four of them reply obediently, yes, sir. In the hall, Oliver speaks up first. When my mom heard that Tiel was alive, she was overjoyed. Ferdy is a little surprised to hear that. He repeats, Aunt Etnie was... Suddenly, Ferdy's face darkens with sadness as he thinks, makes sense. She and my mom were really close. Oliver sighs and opens her hands. So, Mom really wanted to come see you, but she couldn't. She ended up throwing a massive tantrum for 3 days straight. Hearing this, Rudion breaks a sweat and says, I bet she must have had a really hard time. Suddenly, Oliver stands up and excitedly pleads, so can I hold her for just a little bit? But Ferdy makes an annoyed face. No. What do you think, Tiel is a toy? Realizing asking nicely won't work, Oliver looks at him with pleading puppy dog eyes. I'll be super careful. I promise, please, Ferdy. Rudion sits there, sighs, and says, it'll be a miracle if you don't drop her. Hearing this, Oliver gets mad and grabs Rudion's collar, warning him. Do you have a death wish, Rudion? Rudion starts sweating bullets, trying to calm the furious girl down. Hey, that hurts. Ouch. Tiel watches the whole scene, breaking a sweat. She doesn't seem like a bad person, but maybe a bit... Suddenly, Tiel steps forward. Seeing this, Oliver is amazed. Whoa! After a moment, Oliver snaps out of it. She picks Tiel up happily. You came to me all on your own. Aw, you're so cute. My name is Oliver Gopgang. I'm your cousin. Suddenly, Tiel looks up in surprise. Tiel senses something. There's a breeze coming from her. It's so cool. Thinking that, she immediately jumps into Oliver's arm, taking the girl by surprise. Then Oliver's eyes turn bright and sparkling. She exclaims, Tiel actually likes me. Seeing this, the two brothers are completely dumbfounded. Rudion exclaims, Tiel. Rudy couldn't believe his eyes. He was stunned. This makes zero sense. Oliver is all muscle. If she hugs Tiel like that, wouldn't it hurt her? Oliver, hearing her cousin say that, she gets absolutely furious and warns him. Do you have a death wish, Rudy? The two brothers watch as Tiel and Oliver huddle close, giving off an unbelievable heart-shaped aura. Ferdy says to his brother, is she trying to crush her? Rudion replies, it makes no sense. She's never acted like this. Oliver confidently speaks up. You dense Black Panthers, don't you get it? Because the air around me is cold. She used to live in a freezing place as a snow leopard. Imagine how insanely hot she must feel here. Hearing this, Tiel is startled, her fur puffing up in surprise. It was like a light bulb suddenly went off. Ferdy and Rudion finally understand. Ferdy lets out a sigh. I didn't realize. Tiel never mentioned it. Asterion is usually much hotter than other places. Oliver recalls seeing Logan at a party. I didn't know snow leopards were sensitive to heat either until I met Logan Nessian. Tiel, upon hearing the name, is taken aback. Logan. I ran into her at a tea party a while back, and she was super reactive to the heat. At first, I thought she was just being dramatic, but she wasn't. Tiel thinks of Logan in her snow leopard form. She figures it out in her head. It makes sense that Logan wouldn't be able to handle it, unlike me, who is only half-blooded. Logan is a pure snow leopard with an incredibly thick coat. Ferdy, sitting nearby, asks Tiel with concern, "If you were hot, you should have said something." Hearing this, Tiel snaps out of it. "I forgot." He immediately waves the servant over and says, "Come here. Bring us some ice cream." The servant bows respectfully. Hearing this, Oliver instantly chimes in. "Ice cream, make mine a double." Rudion suddenly stands up and scolds, "You're gonna turn from a wolf into a pig." And just like that, the two start bickering again. "You jerk." Taking advantage of the distraction, Ferdy hugs Tiel. He asks her, "Have you ever had ice cream before? It's super yummy and refreshing." Hearing this, Tiel covers her mouth in excitement. Ice cream. A new tasty treat. She imagines eating it and can't help but exclaim, "I love it." Meanwhile, at another mansion, voices can be heard talking inside a room. "Are you writing a letter, my lord?" The other person replies, "Yeah, I'm reaching out to Madame Estella." Turns out the one asking is Cedric. He says, "The carriage is ready, sir." "But my lord, if it's Madame Estella." Landro sits there holding his quill, looking serious. "I'm going to give Tiel some dresses." Seeing this won't end well, Cedric tries to intervene. "But my lord," gifting clothes made by Madame Estella, who exclusively designs for high nobles and royalty, is going to be a real issue, especially since the princess's guests have already been selected. Hearing this, Landros pauses his pen. "So, what? If I want to gift them to her, I will." His eyes grow thoughtful. He remembered when Tiel suggested celebrating his birthday at the Asterion estate. He pondered, "I know this is going to stir up some rumors, but as long as the people involved stay quiet, it's fine. Besides, no one has ever said something like that to me before. A birthday party that was never meant to be celebrated. I postponed the banquet because I hate feeling lonely and out of place at a loud party, surrounded by fake people. A kid who doesn't even know when her own birthday is, who has never even had one celebrated, was actually worried about me." Landros looks out the window. Tiel said she wanted a dress, and he resumes writing. "I will give her the most beautiful dress." Suddenly, a smile graces his lips. "Is there anything I can do for her? I want to give her everything just like the warmth she gave me." The next day, Tiel shifts back into her human form. She politely and gratefully says, "I'm okay now. Good thing you were here, or I wouldn't have been able to control my transformation." Oliver can't hold back and runs over to hug Tiel. "Oh my gosh, you look even cuter than you did in your beast form." Oliver keeps showering Tiel's face with kisses, completely creeping Rudian out. "You're too adorable, Tiel. Is there anything you want? I'll buy you absolutely everything. How about coming to my house? I'll give you the very best room." A hilarious flashback plays out. Oliver kicked her dad out of his room, leaving him to whine pitifully. "The best room is your alpha dad's room, sweetie." Oliver shoots back, "So what, you're a grown adult. You don't need a room that nice." Tiel is little, she deserves the best room in the house. Hearing this, Tiel covers her mouth. Seeing this, Ferdy pulls Tiel closer to him. "No, if it comes down to it, I'm not letting that wolf kidnap you. Don't worry, Tiel." Oliver looks down and says, "So, can I feel a little more of that chilly breeze from you? It's so cool and refreshing." Oliver clasps her hands together, her eyes sparkling brightly. "How can you be so ridiculously cute? I wish you were my little sister." Then, responding to Tiel's request, she waves her hands and declares, "All right, I'll give you the ultimate refreshing breezes." Oliver spins around, creating a mini tornado that howls through the room, making Tiel's dress flutter wildly. Even the furniture gets swept up into the air. Seeing this, Rudian immediately uses his power to stop, yelling at the top of his lungs, "Hey, can't you control your own powers? Are you trying to destroy this house?" Outside the mansion, a room on the upper floor glows brilliantly. Inside, tables, cups, and glasses are all shattered. Oliver watches the servants carrying away whatever is still usable. She laughs nervously and says, "Oops, Tiel is just so cute, I completely lost control of my powers. Good thing I didn't break too much stuff." Rudian frowns heavily, his face turning pale. "I tried to stop you." Then Ferdy hugs Tiel to comfort her. His eyes widen in panic as he said, "Because of you guys, the servants have a ton of extra work to do now. Next time, try to think before you act." Hearing this, Oliver suddenly remembers something and shouts, "Oh, right!" Ferdy asks in confusion, "Right? What?" Oliver clenches her fist with determination. "I can't cuddle Tiel comfortably in this cramped space." Oliver opens her arms wide and happily suggests, "Come outside with me, Tiel. I'll buy you so much yummy food." Hearing this, Tiel shifts back into a human looking doubtful. "But I've never been outside before." Oliver gasps in shock. "What?" She frowns and says, "Don't tell me Uncle and Grandpa are locking you up in here." Tiel quickly replied, "No, it's just that I'm shy around a lot of people. So they're being a little cautious." A lot has happened, you know. Hearing that Oliver understands and sighs in relief. I thought they locked you up because you're just too cute. Tiel turns pale, watching Oliver's antics. Actually, Grandpa did lock me up before, but I probably shouldn't mention that. Suddenly, Oliver opens her arms and steps forward, her eyes sparkling. Then let's go. I know this amazing bakeries. Tiel stares blankly, asking herself, can I really go outside? There are going to be a lot of dangerous people out there, like at the tower. But the festival is coming up, so I need to practice anyway. Going with Oliver should be fine. She seems even stronger than my brothers. After thinking it over, Tiel agrees and nods her head. I want to go outside too, but I don't know if Dad will let me. Oliver throws her arms up happily. Of course, Uncle will allow it. I have a plan. Just trust me. The scene cuts to another location. Cassia says awkwardly, Oliver, not right now. It turns out, Oliver is throwing a tantrum on the floor, rolling back and forth, screaming and crying. No, Uncle, please let me take her outside. Seeing this, Ferdy and Rudy and Sweat drop and think to themselves, so this is her plan. Even so, Cassius tries to reason with the crying girl. You've heard about Tiel's powers, right? So we have to be careful. But before he can even finish, Oliver interrupts with a scream, grabbing his arm so hard she draws blood. I promise I'll take good care of her. Seeing this, a terrified Ferdy covers Tiel's eyes. Don't look, Tiel. You do not need to learn this kind of behavior. Suddenly, Tiel calls out, grabbing Cassius's attention. Dad, I heard the festival is coming up soon, and there are going to be a lot of people there. She steps forward, grabs his hand, and pleads, I want to try going outside to get used to it. I really want to attend the festival, so I don't want to cause any trouble when the time comes. Hearing this, Cassius stammers, yeah. He can hardly believe it, thinking Tiel is really looking forward to Luminaria. Rudian, standing nearby, happily chimes in, exactly. We'll protect her. Ferdy adds, if we go with the Asterion Knights, there's nothing to worry about. Oliver is still throwing a fit. He reluctantly agrees, but sets a few conditions. All right, but everyone has to keep a close eye on Tiel. Make sure you all stay together. Hearing that he agreed, Oliver leaps up joyfully. Oliver raises a finger and suggests, I also have this brilliant idea on how to protect Tiel. Outside, the sun is shining brightly. The streets are bustling with people. Ferdy looks down and asks, hey Tiel, is it cramped in there? Tiel, in her leopard cub form, wearing a red scarf, happily replies, I'm good. Above her, Oliver, dressed up nicely, laughs and says, I'm even blowing a cool breeze inside for you. Are you nice and cool, Tiel? After walking normally for a bit, Oliver joked, a little snow leopard in a basket. Aren't I smart? No one will dare try anything funny with you like this. The two brothers stand there, pale and terrified. It looks like a little kitten being carried off by a big bad wolf. Tiel, have you ever heard the fairy tale of Little Red Riding Hood? If the wolf... Hearing this, Oliver gets mad and yells, shut up. From Tiel's perspective, she looks around the city block. So this is the city? There are so many people and the buildings are so pretty. She looks at a bakery. It's even better than the pictures and letters. Glistening desserts are displayed behind the shop's glass cases. It's like something straight out of a fairy tale. Suddenly, Oliver stops in front of a white building and exclaims, here it is. This is the bakery I was telling you about. The door is gently opened. As soon as they walk in, Oliver places an order. 5 slices of strawberry cake and raspberry tea. Please bring it up to our room. The employee politely replies, right away, miss. Seeing this, Rudian asks, how often do you come here? Oliver replies, just started a few years ago. I even have my own private room here. Rudian rests his hand on his head and asks, seriously, you can eat these cakes back at the mansion. You're making the knights go through a lot of trouble. Hearing this, Oliver gets annoyed. No way. The vibe is totally different here, you idiot. Oliver sets Tiel down and happily said, all right, you can shift back now. With a poof and a small roar, Tiel shifts back into a human. She happily said, going outside is so much fun and this place is really pretty too. Oliver puts her hands on her hips. I'm glad you like it. You're totally gonna love these cakes too, just wait. Ferdy pulls a chair out for Tiel. You look really happy. Tiel excitedly replied, yeah, I'm super excited. Little does she know, a light begins to glow from her chest. Suddenly, the light expands. She looks at it in confusion. Huh? Suddenly, Ferdy calls out, Tiel. Tiel panics and says, guys, the light, it's glowing on its own. Rudian scrambles in a panic. Shoot. I think they're bringing the cake up. Oliver runs around frantically. Hurry, hide, hide. A waiter walks in carrying the food and politely says, excuse me, the cakes you ordered. As soon as he walks in, the waiter freezes in shock. Inside are 3 people panting heavily. We were just, measuring our height. Right, Rudy and Ferdy. Wow, you've grown taller, Oliver. Hand her to me. I'll set her down. Tiel hides under the table feeling frustrated. The light keeps glowing without stopping. Oh no, I got way too excited. I normally lose control like this sometimes, especially when I'm super happy, but not right now. Tiel watches a little fish swimming around completely speechless. She breaks out in a terrified sweat. Turn off, disappear, don't go out there. Suddenly, Tiel comes up with an idea. Think about something bad. Nessian, Grandpa. Instantly, the light starts to vanish. She breathes a sigh of relief. It's fading away. This actually works perfectly. A moment later, Tiel peeks her hand out and asks, can I come out now? Ferdy immediately replies, yeah. Is the light gone? Tiel answers, it's gone. Tiel awkwardly apologizes. I'm sorry. I guess I got a little too happy. It happens sometimes. Ferdy and Rudian quickly comfort her. It's no big deal, right, Tiel? Even if you mess up, we'll always take care of you. So don't even worry about it. Okay. Oliver cheerfully adds, that just means you're having a blast, right? Major success. No one else is gonna come in here anyway, so let's just eat and relax. Yeah, hearing that, Tiel happily walks over, a bright smile on her face. She sits down and suddenly the little goldfish reappear. Ferdy and Oliver see this and can't help but gush. Look at the little fish, so cute. In a brightly lit mansion, a bird carrying a letter lands on the windowsill. A woman's voice rings out. Oh, a messenger pigeon is here. Madame Estella takes the letter. She is surprised. Let's see. It's from Grayson. It's Madame Estella. Let me introduce this owl for a second. It's Madame Estella's messenger pigeon. She gifted these birds to the royal family and high-ranking nobles a while back. Thanks to them, she can always be found no matter where she is in the world. Estella, who loves traveling the globe and has no fixed address, receives requests from nobles via these letters. Estella holds the letter, clearly surprised. Wow, the Crown Prince of Grayson wants me to make a dress for a little girl. She pulls out a chair, sits down, and starts writing a reply. She keeps wondering to herself, he's still so young. Could he be in love with someone? After finishing the letter, she gives it to the pigeon with some instructions. Luckily, it's nearby, so it shouldn't take too long to get there. I bet he's super eager. Make sure you fly fast, okay? But we can't keep an eager young boy waiting. The scene shifts to another location. Suddenly, there's a noise at the door. Oliver gasps and reassures them. No one is going to come in here until we leave. But just as she says that, Ian Rose throws the door open, scaring Oliver half to death. That voice, is that Oliver Gopgang? Seeing him, Ferdy, Rudian, and Oliver all shout in unison, Your Highness. Only Tiel addresses him differently. Ian, he says excitedly, you guys sure picked a good spot. Ferdy asks in confusion, how did you even find us here? And what is with that outfit? Landros takes off his hat. I went to Asterion and they told me you were all here. I couldn't exactly walk around the streets wearing something too flashy, so I just covered it up. Outside, Cedric is dressed in a full body disguise. He looks suspiciously at the chef and whines in his head. Your Highness, please hurry up. The shop owner is getting suspicious of us. Inside, Oliver crosses her arms, frowns, and declares, Your Highness, today is my date with Tiel. I hope you won't bother us. Rudian also frowns in annoyance. Haven't you been visiting the Asterion estate a little too often? What a creep. Ferdy chimes in too. Following us everywhere we go must be really fun, huh, creep? But Landros remains unbothered. Me? My schedule hasn't changed. You guys have just become overly sensitive ever since Tiel arrived. Ferdy is irritated by this. If it happens 3 times, then you are definitely the problem. Even so, as usual, someone is on Ian's side. Tiel happily says, I really like seeing you, Ian. Ferdy freezes in shock at her reaction. Tiel looks at her brother in confusion and thinks, do my brothers and cousin not like Ian? Landros? Tiel thinks to herself, but Ian is really nice. He always takes such good care of me. And he glows too. There's no reason for them to hate him. Everyone should love him. Hey. Ian Rose suddenly speaks up. Isn't it time for you two to head back to the academy? Hearing this, Rudian flinches. Huh, it's not time yet, right? Landros watches their reaction with a smug look. In that case, the event will be here before you know it. Don't worry, just go. I'll take good care of Tiel. No, wait. Tiel hears this and points to herself. Me or maybe not. She hesitantly asks Ferdy, brother, if you go back to the academy, does that mean I won't get to see you anymore? Hearing this, Ferdy smiles warmly. No, you can see me anytime. Just write me a letter saying you want to see me, and I'll fly right back to see you. Hearing this, Tiel claps her hands in joy. Then I have to study really hard, so I can write letters to you. Oliver suddenly asks, Tiel, you don't know how to write? Tiel awkwardly replies, not very well. They taught me when I was 6 at Nessian, but she remembers how Zara didn't want to teach her properly because she thought I could never be as good as Logan. Grandpa Gender scolded me a lot too. Hearing this, Oliver and Rudian cheerfully say, no problem. I'll teach you in a super fun way. I can draw pictures in my letters. Studying is so boring anyway. Suddenly, the other two look at Rudian with pity. By now, the atmosphere is much better. Ferdy asks, so what really brings you here, Ian? You can't just drop by whenever you feel like it. Landros replies thoughtfully. Rumors are spreading about your sister. This shocks Ferdy. Rumor? Landros says seriously. More specifically, rumors about your family. That your family has been hiding the legendary power of light. And that the Panther clan is trying to reclaim their primal power. So... Ferdy gasps in shock. What? Only the heads of the Panther clan and our family know this secret. There's no way it could have leaked. Suddenly, his eyes widen as he remembers the snow-covered mansion. It can't be. From Nessian. Asterion and Nessian have always relied on the mythical light for their power. The Panther clan, bound by a strong connection, will be freed from their shackles. Once that happens, Tiel, who holds the power of light, will become a threat to the other clans, even more so than to the Panther clan. He thinks deeply. Even those who believe in the Child of Light, as recorded in the legends, could potentially become Tiel's enemies. Oliver's eyes widen. So, does someone want to backstab Tiel? Landros replies, it's highly likely. Tiel and Asterion will definitely be targeted by the opposing factions. Rudian crosses his arms and sighs. So, what are they going to do about it? They don't have the guts to mess with Asterion. Ferdy breathes a sigh of relief. True. Even if we aren't the absolute strongest family, we certainly aren't weak enough to be pushed around. But Oliver clenches her fist with determination. Gop Gang is getting involved too. I have to protect my baby. Rudian looks at her in confusion. Who is your baby? Landros speaks up. You're right. No family would spend all night fretting over just one child. He frowns. Rumors. It might not be a big deal for Asterion, but it's different for me. Suddenly, he turns to comfort Tiel. There is nothing to worry about, Tiel. The Asterion family will definitely protect you. Hearing this, an anxious Tiel grips her clothes speechless. In the Asterion mansion, at night in Anfio Evan's room, he stands near the table and asks, have the children gone to sleep? Cassius replies, yes. He looks solemn. The kids must have been pretty shocked. It was Tiel's first time going outside, and then that had to happen. He suddenly gets angry, slamming his fist on the table and yelling, that absolute bastard! How dare he abuse a 7-year-old child? Seeing this, Cassius quickly warns him, Father, the children are sleeping. His expression is serious, but he stammers slightly. I've mobilized all our resources to suppress the rumors and prepared our soldiers for the worst-case scenario. Anfios Evan touches his forehead in frustration, trying to calm down. I understand. Just thinking that such a legendary power can't even protect her tiny body makes me sick to my stomach. Cassius's voice drops to a mysterious whisper. Something is bound to happen sooner or later. Anfios Evan analyzes the situation seriously. As long as Tiel holds the power of light, even if the rumors don't spread, our family will be targeted eventually. No matter how hard the Emperor tries, he'll eventually force her to become the crown princess. Suddenly, the two look at each other, coming up with an idea. Cassius says, we might be thinking the same thing. Father? Anfios Evan replied, I'm sure you know what I'm going to say. Do you agree? You're fine with it? But this might be a little cruel to Ferdy. Suddenly, Anfios Evan stops and says, let's keep thinking about it for now. In Tiel's room, she sleeps with her face buried in her pillow, thinking, because of me, Asterion has become everyone's enemy. Just because I'm here. I just wanted to be helpful to Asterion. I want to be a useful child. If my coming here was a mistake from the start. Suddenly, a voice calls out, startling Tiel, making her look up. Dad, Tiel, are you asleep? Getting no response, he thinks to himself, is she already asleep? I just wanted to check on her. Suddenly, a loud noise echoes out. Tiel shifts back into a human and stammers, I'm sorry. I just transformed into my beast form for a bit. Cassius sees this and instead of scolding her, says cheerfully, it's okay. I just wanted to see you sleep. Make yourself comfortable. Okay. Suddenly, he notices the pillow and asks worriedly, were you crying? He immediately comforts her. Is there something on your mind? It's going to be fine. We'll try our best. Suddenly, Tiel lowers her head and bursts into tears. No, Asterion, because of me, I've put everyone in danger. I'm so sorry. Hearing this, he freezes on the spot. He reaches out and gently pats Tiel's shoulder to comfort her. The ones at fault are the people who want to hurt you, not you. You have no reason to apologize. He confides in her. Listen to me, Tiel. Ever since I lost Lena, our family has lived with guilt for a very long time. But you brought light back into this house. You gave our family a new light, and warm smiles again. You are our savior. He kneels down close to her face. If I can protect you, I will do absolutely anything. Nothing is too much. Hearing this, Tiel emotionally hugs Cassius. She calls him Dad and bursts into tears. Cassius pats her gently. There. I love you so much. And just like that, Tiel falls asleep in his arms. At a mansion completely covered in snow, Gender raises his voice. What about Asterion? Ella, standing behind him, answers, there is currently no reply. He glares outside and curses angrily. Those arrogant fools! Their insides must be in total chaos right now. Speaking of the clans, there are 6 great families protecting the Empire, except for the Water Clan, which is special. Asterion represents fire. Nessian is ice, Gopgang is wind, and Iker is light. Gender deduces, out of the 5 clans, Gopgang is on Asterion's side, but even with the other 3 clans, going against them won't be easy at all. He thinks of Tiel. Losing such a trivial thing is incredibly annoying. Damn it. For now, we just have to keep trying to contact Asterion. If I knew what was going on over there, I would definitely find a way to handle it carefully. In that case, if it's certain that Nessian isn't, suddenly he grits his teeth in anger. Lena? Why the hell did you leave me with this mess? Seeing this, Ella steps forward to comfort him. Don't worry, father. I'm here. I will take my sister's place. Suddenly, Gender slaps her hand away and yells, you don't understand. You have no idea how important Lena was to Nessian. Hearing this, Ella stands frozen behind him. She bites her lip, bearing it. She turns away, her resolve hardening. Just wait and see. Father, I will be better than Lena, who died a miserable death. Better than that half-blood daughter that Alina left behind. Logan and I will prove it to you. The scene shifts to a grand feast. Looking at the lavish spread on the table, Tiel excitedly said, "It looks so beautiful and fancy. There's so much yummy food." Ferdy smiles and said, "Everyone must have worked really hard, since we're suddenly throwing a birthday party for the crown prince." Rudian adds, "The kitchen lights have been on all day long." Hearing this, Tiel gets worried. Is it because I wanted to throw this party that everyone... Seeing this, Ferdy quickly comforts her, visualizing master chefs aggressively wielding their pans. Don't worry. They were all fired up for the challenge. Oliver stands there constantly munching on cake and cheerfully says, "Yep, the chefs at Asterion are super passionate about good food." Hearing this, Rudian gets annoyed. "You're gonna eat everything before the party even starts." But while the two are bickering, footsteps approach. The person speaks up. "Am I late? Have you guys already started the party?" Landros appears wearing a stunning outfit. Tiel exclaims, "Ian." She eagerly runs over to him. "Happy birthday." "Happy 11th birthday." Landros smiles happily. "Thanks. Have you been doing well?" Her eyes sparkling, she answered, "Yes, I can control the light much better now, and the little fishes are bigger too." Landros smiles and breathes a sigh of relief, thinking to himself, as long as she eats well and sleeps well, that's enough. For a child, it seems she deserves so much more. He pats Tiel's head and praises her. "Good job, Tiel. You're very talented. I'm sure you'll fully master your powers in no time." Receiving the compliment, Tiel smiles and replies, Suddenly, Oliver notices Ferdy's glaring face. She smirks and teases Ferdy, "You look pretty annoyed. Are you scared your little sister is gonna get snatched away?" Hearing this, Ferdy snaps, "Shut up." He crosses his arms and sighs. "That's never gonna happen. Tiel likes me the most." The other two immediately retort, "Oh, really? More than me?" "It's obviously me." Ferdy puts his hand on a chair, feeling proud of himself as he thinks, "I need to put these brats in their place." He calls out to everyone, "All right, let's all sit down." Tiel, sit next to me. Suddenly, Landros also pulls out a chair and said, "No, sit here, right next to me." And so the two start fighting over her, leaving the servants holding chairs and Tiel wide-eyed in shock. Landros sits down and confidently states, "Today is my birthday, and I recall making a deal with you." Hearing this, Ferdy freezes and says nothing. Landros extends his hand to Tiel. "So it's decided. Come here, Tiel." As soon as she sits down, he places a box in front of her. "I got this for you." Seeing this, Rudian asks, "What is that box?" "Don't tell me you swapped the dresses for this." Hearing this, Landros turns pale and denies it. "Why would I do that?" Meanwhile, Tiel opens the gift, excitedly wondering, what could it be? Suddenly, her eyes widen in amazement. Inside is a blue flower. Tiel says happily, "An ice flower." Seeing Tiel open the box, Ferdy jumps up in shock. "Is that... Don't tell me that's the breath of winter?" Hearing this, Oliver stops eating to listen. He continued, "It's a flower that only blooms once every 100 years in the freezing lands. It never withers or melts, and that flower can cool down the body temperature of whoever wears it." Ferdy turns to him and asks, "It's only found in Nessian, and I heard that finding it is an incredible challenge. How did you get it?" Landros calmly replies, "The Emperor gifted it to Nessian's heir, and now he gifted it back to me as a present. And now I'm gifting it to Tiel." He stands up, takes the flower, and says thoughtfully, "You usually feel really hot, right? Here, give this a try." She takes it. Suddenly, a refreshing chill washes over Tiel. Tiel immediately bites onto the flower and transforms into a leopard cub. Even in beast form, it doesn't feel hot at all. And it's not freezing either. It's just perfectly cool. She flops onto the table, happily squeaking and purring. Ferdy is amazed. "I never even thought of this." Rudian looks dumbfounded, thinking, "I didn't even know this was a thing." Finally, even Oliver is surprised and exclaims, "And here I thought I was the only one who could help her." Landros looks proud, practically puffing his chest out. "Oh man, looks like I totally beat these dense idiots, huh?" Hearing this, Rudian turns pale and stammers, "Ian, you are such a pain." Landros continues, "Don't act so close to her anymore. I'm just keeping my promise." Just as he finishes speaking, Tiel suddenly remembers something. She shifts back into a human and gratefully says to Landros, "Thank you so much, Ian. I have a gift for you too." Landros is surprised. "A gift for me?" Tiel replied. "Yes, this is my first time ever preparing a gift, so it might not be perfect, but wait a second." She puts the flower away. She runs off, telling him to wait a moment. The three sitting across from him are burning with jealousy. They think to themselves, her very first gift, it is for this guy. Landros smugly said, "I think I can hear the sound of burning jealousy. Don't you?" From behind the door, Tiel brings out a pink box. "Are you still waiting?" Then she appears carrying a box that's even bigger than she is. "Here you go," Tiel says awkwardly, because the box is so huge. "Is it too big?" "I wrapped it in a ton of layers so it wouldn't get damaged." Seeing this, Landros goes over to help her. "No, the size isn't an issue." "Are you okay?" She hides behind the gift box, her cheeks blushing, and says, No, I want you to open it when you get back. Because it's a bit embarrassing." At this moment, Tiel is incredible. incredibly anxious. What if he doesn't like it? I'm so nervous. Landros is a bit confused but accepts it anyway. I'll open it when I'm alone. Outside, Anfio's Evan peeks into the room and thinks to himself, well, it seems the kids are having a great time. He smiles happily. I heard the Crown Prince was very lonely, but he looks so happy right now. The other kids too. But suddenly, he notices his 3 grandchildren. Their faces are all scowling in pure anger, thoroughly confusing him. Rudian says lifelessly, hey, whose idea was it to throw this party anyway? Oliver looks up and replies, don't ever invite me when Ian is around. He is so annoying. Seeing this, Anfio's Evan feels like he's fallen into a void of despair. Wait, kids, what's wrong?